Where are the low-value men?
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site. You can believe that. You can believe that. You can believe that.
Contracted COVID, but says with a mixture of medicines, including the controversial horse dewormer that has poisoned hundreds of people nationwide, he's now recovered.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
From the headlines to the whisper start. Low value mail, we'll hit the mark. Low value mail at 9 o'clock. Where truth and fiction take a walk.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Our stories are.
Good evening, Scroats. Welcome back to an all-new episode of Low Value Mail on this Monday, June 30th, 2025. We're at the midway point of the year. Is it the exact midway point? Almost. Almost. It's been half a year, half of 2025, just like that. Gonzo, joining me in the second hour, we have Izzy Griffin. He's the host of Izzy's World on YouTube. He's also big on Instagram. He covers conspiracies in the music industry. And as some of you have noted, some of you have realized, we're trying a new time today. It's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is it Standard Time? Or is it just, I confuse the two between Eastern Time and Eastern Standard Time. When does it happen? I don't know. It's way out of my pay grade. But we're at a new time, 7 p.m. It might just be this week. I don't know. I did a bunch of polls. It seemed like I did a poll originally. I go, do you guys want different times? 9 p.m. was the least voted on poll. And then I condensed it down to a few more options. 9 p.m. was the most voted on in the poll. So I don't know what the hell you guys want. I won't lie. I do like doing this earlier. I don't love going home at 1 in the morning on Monday nights. Certainly makes my life easier to do it earlier. Maybe I'll do it at 6 p.m. next week. I'm basically just trying to cause enough problems, enough confusion so that this show can truly be low value. Maybe I start at different time every week. Maybe I don't even start it on the hour. Maybe one week it starts at 6:42. Let's just really drive this puppy into the ground, you know? Yeah. But so anyways, we're doing it earlier. We'll see how it goes. Maybe next week it'll be 6. I don't know. But thank you for joining me. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Do whatever you want to do. Shout out to Vince for gifting some memberships. If you want to support the show, become a channel member or sign up patreon.com/lowvaluemail to help me continue doing the show. Now, to our topics. Really. So I'm sure you guys know all about this guy by now. I'm sure did anybody know who this guy, Bob? It's not even a guy. It's a group. Bob Vylan. Did any of you know who he was before, who they were before? I keep calling him he because when I first saw it, I go, oh, that's that guy. But then, it's a group. It's two guys, two swarthy British individuals named Bob Vylan. Did any of you know who they were before? They're like a really low rent version of Rage Against the Machine. Really low rent version of Rage Against the Machine. Reagan Foster says, joining from my office to say F you for the new time, Danny. Federal Reserve extended their hours for quarter end, so I'm stuck at work. Well, look at that. Now you're fucking watching Low Value Mail and getting paid for it. Another win for the Low Value Scroats. But so anyways, this week at Glastonbury Music Festival, in England, a group called Bob Vylan got a lot of attention for leading a chant saying death, death to the IDF. Catchy. Pretty catchy. I mean, it rhymes perfectly. I don't know if they've coined this catchphrase. I'm sure it'll catch on. That's for sure. Now, I see this and I go, this is pretty garden variety leftist behavior at this point. Nothing potentially overly shocking. Now, it might be illegal in the UK. I don't know. UK has their crazy hate speech laws. I know they have that woman, what's her name? Lucy Connolly. She got 31 months in jail for a Facebook post. However, she did say she wanted to burn down a church full of migrants, which, you know, I don't know if this is on the same level of that, but for the UK, probably similar. I mean, certainly don't have free speech like we do here in America, huh, boys? Also, happy early Canada Day and happy early 4th of July to all that celebrate. Now, I will say on the internet, a lot of Jews are not happy, as they tend to do, which is not be happy about things. Last I checked, the IDF is a military force. Is that not true? Is that a protected class now? Is the military of a foreign nation a protected class? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm certainly no history buff here. Is this much different than saying death to the Viet Cong in the 1960s? They're a military force that you oppose. Now, I know the UK isn't necessarily at war with the IDF. I mean, nobody would hear death to the Viet Cong and you're like, surely you mean death to all Vietnamese people. I feel like we're able to separate the two of those things. But his agency dropped him. Many will blame that for the fact that many of them are Jews, which is no doubt a factor. There's no question. Look, if there was a comedy club owned by a Palestinian person and I was making jokes about how awesome it was that Gazans are getting blown up, I would expect to not be working there. That's me personally. I don't know where you guys work. I don't know what the makeup of your jobs are. But that's what I would expect. Like the Comedy Cellar, the booker there is an Israeli lady. There's just some things you can't say on stage at the Comedy Cellar. You can't if you want to continue working there. It's just how it is. Is it a good system? No. But that is just the reality. That is just how shit is, right? And back to UTA, with United Talent Agency Artists, one of those two. They were this Bob Vylan's booking agent. I'm gonna clue you in to a little secret about the Jews. This is firsthand experience that you may not know, which is they like making money. They love making money, I would dare say. And I know, I personally know many people who have had big agents, like, CAA, UTA, like the big ones. Once you stop making them money or you start fucking with their money, that's the end. That is it. A lot of the time, it's over. They go, you're not making us money. We're not spending time on you. Or you're doing something to cost us money because of your shenanigans, and you are not making way more money than you're costing us. So that's it, right? And look, you want to give your agent a huge headache? You can do that, but you better be making them tons of money. James Franco, great example. He was about 2018. He was an A-list actor, no question about that. He had a bit of a scandal at the time, a little Me Too scenario. It was the height of Me Too even. He had some 17-year-old girl was like, he was texting me inappropriately. He had that weird thing at his gay-ass acting school. UTA didn't drop him because based on the math, they go, yes, this is a pain in our ass. Yes, we don't like what he did, but he's an A-list actor, and we definitely do not want him going elsewhere. So we're going to tough this one out. Susan Sarandon, on the other hand, said some shit after October 7th. They dumped her immediately. Now, again, I'm not going to say that there wasn't a factor that the people who run that place are Jews. There's no question about it. But go look at her IMDb, okay? Her better days are way past. Like, she's not some cash cow where they're like, oh man, can't drop Susan Sarandon. I don't know what she's done since fucking Dead Man Walking. Has she done anything? I don't know. But so, and look, this entire thing is, we all know who Bob Vylan is now. I guess most of you do. Some of you don't, maybe. Now you do. It's going to make them more popular. There's no question about this. It's going to make them more popular. Now, they can't capitalize on that, at least in the U.S., as their visas were canceled with a 26-date U.S. tour coming up. This is the same administration that many of you voted for, by the way. A majority of the people watching this, live for sure, voted for this administration. So you can't complain. You can't complain, but you did vote for this. Same administration that canceled the visas of Mexican narco corridos for glorifying El Chapo, allegedly. And if you don't know what those are, they're these like Mexican bands, and their whole vibe is they like sing songs about various like narcos in Mexico, drug traffickers, murderers. It's very punk rock, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's not punk rock, but that's what they do. And they had some show in Mexico, and they had just like a PowerPoint, some slides. Maybe it wasn't a PowerPoint, but they're like slides, and there's just a photo of El Chapo, and they had some song, and they go, U.S. government saw that, State Department, it goes, no visas, you're out. Is this a total overreaction for the narco corridos and Bob Vylan? I'd say so. I'm just Canadian, but I would say so. But at the end of the day, every country in the world has the right to let whoever they want in. And to deny any person for any reason. You might not like it. You might not like it if you're American. You might not like it if you're not American. But those are the rules. A country is any sovereign country. They go, if a sovereign country wants to say we're not letting in one person, that is their right. It could be to their detriment, but it is certainly their right. You could not like it as a citizen, but it is the country's right. There's no question about that. Now, the reason, obviously, this is different than the narco corridos thing is because, as far as I know, no country has ever revoked a person's visa for something they said about a completely different country. That one is new. I will certainly concede that. Now, I'd imagine Marco Rubio's explanation would be charitably that death to the IDF is some sort of pro-Hamas thing. I guess that would be my guess on how he frames it, is essentially Hamas is classified as a terrorist organization. So if you oppose the people fighting them, i.e. death to the IDF, then you are in favor of Hamas, which probably Bob Vylan does like Hamas. I think that's safe to say. Probably safe to say. So, and look, this is making more leftists. If you think you're like, oh, this is going to really just nip that in the bud of all these new leftists popping up and getting emboldened and kind of brought online, you are wrong. They see this shit. Just remember, look, leftists in general this is a young person's game. If you're old and you're a leftist, you're a retard, okay? There's no other way about it. I'm not saying left-leaning. I'm saying like an actual, like, you know, you're like a borderline communist, full-blown socialist. You're retarded. But obviously when you're 20, you're like, I don't know much better, and you're kind of figuring these things out. Fair enough. It's pretty common. But when you see this band and you go, it's like the Streisand effect. You see this band and they go, they're not allowed to come to the U.S. because they said death to the IDF. You go, I don't know why, but I like it. right? I go, I don't like I was ambivalent about the IDF. Now I hate them. I want them all to die. Also, Marco Rubio, don't deport me for this. This is just commentary. I don't see how letting Bob Vylan do their show at the Brooklyn Bowl was some national security threat, though. That I don't see. The place holds 1,000 people. I've been there many times. It's literally a bowling alley. It's like an upscale bowling alley. It's a cool venue. If you ever get a chance to check it out in Williamsburg, cool venue. Don't think it would have radicalized anybody. And now, again, I'm kind of on the fence about this, too. Not on the fence, but I don't hate the idea of not letting people into the country when they hate America. That does seem logical to me. America has this weird thing where they're like, at least they used to be. Canada's definitely like this. You show up to Canada, you go, do you like Canada? You go, no, I hate Canada. They're like, come on in. Let's get more of you. Surely long-term, that cannot be a good strategy unless you're like, no, well, kill them with kindness. They're going to show up here and they're going to be like, I hate this country. I hate America. They show up to America and they go, you guys have donut grilled cheeses? You guys literally have grilled cheese in this country where instead of bread, it's Krispy Kremes? I was totally wrong about this country. This is the greatest nation on earth. But again, it seems logical to me to say, hey, if you hate America and you're not American, we don't want you here. That, I don't know if I'm out of pocket here. Seems totally logical to me. But this isn't going to hurt their popularity at all. Granted, they can't sell tickets in the U.S., which is one of the largest markets in the world, if not the biggest. And now, I don't know if some of you heard the lyrics. They sang this song. Because a lot of people on the right are not, a lot of people on the right who don't even like Israel or the Jays or the IDF. And they go, yeah, fuck the IDF. But then they didn't love the song. Because I don't know if you heard the song. The lyrics were, I heard you want your country back. Uh-huh. Shut the fuck up. It's like the soundtrack to the race war. Honestly, when the race war is popping off and we're all just in chainmail in Brooklyn and it's just the right-wing dudes are all just like on horseback fucking charging at the left-wing people with bike locks and bear spray and shit, this song will be playing. So I don't really have much else on this. But if someone says in the chat, English for the English, that was Slav, of course. But yeah, those people are like, yeah, you're really rubbing it in their faces. Really rubbing it in their faces at this point. I don't even get it. I mean, and here's the thing. I think about this quite a bit because I know I talk to a lot of you and a lot of you have these sentiments where you're like, we want to go back. We, similar to this, we want our country back. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. The best you can do is pause it here. You're not getting what you think you had back. The best you could do is just be like, we'll accept this and no more. You're not going back. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I see someone talking about Brampton, Ontario. That's literally like one of the largest cities in Canada now. It's like, I don't know the exact demographics of it. I think it's like 70 or 80% Indian people. Let's see, Brampton Indian population. It's about 2021. I think it's 46%. I remember people used to just kind of tongue in cheek 20 years ago. They'd be like, oh, they call it Bramladesh because there was a lot of Indians there. And again, there is some element where people in charge who are just like, they don't really think about this stuff. And they go, yeah, we just need more bodies. And some people legitimately go, what does it matter where anybody's from? And you go, well, then you kind of wind up where we are now. Okay, let's look at some super chats here. And we're going to open the phone lines, as always, shortly. Poison says, Danny, I swear I'm not a Jew, Polishchuk. I never swore that. Kafka says, let's get down to brass tacks. Are you washing Connor's legs? Connor had a bath yesterday, actually. I didn't do it, though. I don't do that. Dylan Farnham says, UK, death to Israel. Best I can do is let the illegals you hate say it. Guy's not illegal, though. That's the thing. That guy might be second generation at this point. That's what I'm saying. You're not putting the toothpaste back in the tube. Bobo Makua says, you forgot to pick a win last week. I did forget. I apologize. I'll pick 2 this week. Also, go on the No Way Jose podcast. Tell people to call Congress for the short and HPA. Yes, call people. Make sure that you can have your sick cane guns. We need cane guns in America. Schneid Time says, United Scroats of America, we're on track to reach our super chat goal. We can do it. Let's go. Brian says, I got to imagine you've already asked the guest about Peter Schickele, but if you haven't, please do. Well, he's going to be on in 40 minutes. I'll ask him about Peter Schickele. My guess is he's going to be like, who the fuck are you talking about? But I will ask him. And Kay says, I like 8 p.m. better, but this works. How's Connor Dog? Connor's great. Connor Dog is fantastic. He is doing absolutely fantastic. Couldn't be better. He's having a good time. So far, and I did a poll. Do you like the earlier times? 77% of you said yes. We have way less live viewers than normal, but we had more live viewers on Thursday at 7 p.m. So maybe you just got to trickle in. I don't know. I guess really all that matters is how many more people watch it after the fact, because if that's the same, then what do I really care about if the live views are really lower? The main thing I'm trying to optimize here is more people watching the podcast/show after it's done, because, people are busy. They don't have time to do live shit like this. I was going to talk briefly about the rising trend of socialism getting cool again. I don't know how much you guys are inundated. I know I talked about it last week, and it's weird just because we had an episode like 4 days ago. So usually it does help when there's a week in between to have different things to talk about. But my feed is absolutely inundated with this Zoran fella. If you don't live in New York City, I don't know how much you see about this. Probably, I think, a lot. I'm seeing a ton of it. It really is amazing how far you can get on just vibes alone. Like, if you have some sort of charisma and you're like just a real sociopath, you don't really need to have great policies. I actually I saw a thing where Zoran Mamdani, who is the favorite to be the next mayor of New York City, a Democratic socialist, he ran for, I want to say, office high school president, and he lost. And literally his platform was like free juice for everybody. Not free Jews, free juice. So he's been doing this shit. This is like when you joke about how you're like, yeah, it's like fucking guy was just being like free vending machines. He literally was the free vending machine guy. This guy's a socialist. His mother is worth over $10 million, by the way. She's a famous director. His dad's a professor at Columbia. But he's trying to be like, I'm this super relatable middle-class guy somehow. And I can tell you anecdotally, almost every person I know in New York City, I hang out with mostly comedians who are generally not particularly wealthy and lean to the left. They love this guy. They don't know anything about socialism. Some of them do. Most of them don't. But they like him. They respond to the vibes. The guy eats rice with his hands, for Christ's sake. At least in one particular video he did. The guy knows how to do the internet. I'll tell you that. We could all learn a thing or two about him from the internet, because he literally has a video where he's just talking about like being different, being a brown dude in New York, and he's just eating. They have these halal trucks everywhere, and you can just get like a plate of rice with some chicken, and he's literally eating it with his hand. Which, again, I'm not against eating food with your hands. I love wings as much as the next guy. Gotta eat them with your hands. You're a complete psychopath if you eat wings with a fork and a knife. Rice is an insane thing to eat with your hands. I don't know what's more insane eating with your hands than rice is like a bowl of cereal. Like, imagine you saw someone eating a bowl of cereal with their hands. You'd be like, this person's unhinged. That is like a mentally ill person. They're eating a bowl of cereal with their hands. Rice is maybe, your hands are maybe the worst thing to eat rice with. I think it would be like, you'd rather eat, it'd go spoon, fork, knife, chopsticks, then your hands. But again, he doesn't eat with his fucking hands. That's the important part here. This guy does not eat with his hands. He ate with his hands for this one video. His family's net worth is close to $20 million. Okay, this is all for show. His parents do not fucking eat with their hands. But I guess it's just politics, and it is resonating. And look, I've been saying this for a while, my point, and then we're going to open the phone lines. I know some of you disagree, but Donald Trump, the current administration, definitely needs to dial back the mass deportations to people with criminal convictions only. They're getting killed on like TikTok, Instagram, that kind of stuff. Like I go on there and there is absolutely no shortage of videos of just some boxy Mexican woman just crying because her family just got ripped apart because her 55-year-old husband who's been in the United States illegally for 30 years with no criminal record just got fucking snatched up and deported back to wherever the fuck they're from. And I know you guys are just, many of you are like, good, it's how we want it. You're going to lose. I'm telling you that right now. Nobody is going to vote for the Dems who voted for Trump because he was unable to deport illegals who had no criminal record. That's not going to happen. But he's building so much opposition by doing this shit. And the Democratic Party has been completely rudderless for months or not years, at least since the election, but maybe even probably before that. Probably you're talking years. And now this retarded socialist shows up. People are eating it up. They are eating it up. All right, we're going to open the phone lines. Tell me what you think. I'm sure you guys have all sorts. And we got Mark back in the house. Shout out to our producer, Mark, answering the phones, putting people on hold. I was going to talk about the Idaho shooting briefly. I don't really think there's a point of it. Maybe you guys can fill me in. I've been covering it, or not covering it. I've been reading about it. It seems like a lot's going to change because it's so fresh. It just happened yesterday. I know it's obviously like big news right now, but it just feels like so much info is going to come out in the next couple of days. But if you have some, feel free to call in. I saw a photo of the guy. Looks kind of effeminate, so all the right-wing accounts are being like, it's another trans person doing a shooting. Since when are trans people so good? The guy's like a sniper? I'm sorry, I got Zoom is on my phone for some reason. Yeah, I don't remember when trans people were so good at sniping. And look, I'm who knows? I know some of you are like false flag to ban our guns. It's fine to oppose the notion of banning guns here. I get it. Don't want to take your guns away. As someone not from America, that doesn't feel like something that'll ever happen. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Does not feel like something that will ever. I know you guys are fearful of it. Doesn't seem like something that'll ever happen. All right, we're gonna take some calls. Like and subscribe to the channel. Again, if you're an audio listener over on Spotify, wherever, follow the podcast, leave a review. If you enjoy the show and you want me to keep doing it, please tell a friend or sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/lowvaluemail. It's not going great, so help me out. Just tell somebody. I don't even need your money. Just tell somebody. Go post it in your social media. Go on Twitter. Go on Instagram. Just post it in your story. Whatever it is. Help a Jew out. And of course, if we hit the super chat goal, we'll do an extra 30 minutes. And I'll give 2 super chatters this week, patreon.com memberships, because I forgot last week. And once we hit 500 patrons, which is looking like it will never fucking happen, so at least I get to keep my $500. But if we hit 500 patrons, I will give away $500. But again, that doesn't look like that'll ever happen. New bathhouse tomorrow night, God willing. All right, let's take some calls. Let's go across the pond. We got my buddy James from Ireland, who you guys all hate. A candidate for the new Trent.
Yellow.
James.
How you doing, Danny?
Good. How are you?
Grand. Just calling in on with some of the Bob Vylan stuff you guys seem to be talking about.
It's a big deal here, man. They deleted his visas. They canceled their visas.
Well, kind of a big deal here too, but for there was the band that went before him, kind of more of the big deal.
Who, Kneecap?
Yeah, that's kind of
Kneecap. Kneecap
You-
already had their visas canceled. That's like the first iteration of this.
Nah, but the British government have tried to bring in terror charges.
Against didn't one of the members of Kneecap have terror charges against them?
Yeah, see, you know the way Britain had all those like fucking ridiculous laws about what is terrorism, how you can be arrested for tweets.
Yep, I do recall that.
It was pretty retarded, but it's kind of gotten to Northern Ireland and it's backfired really, really hard because there's a shit ton of, like, if you tried to ban anyone for saying terrorist shit, you'd have to arrest pretty much half the country.
Sure.
Like, either side.
Which, I mean, again, when you have, especially an unjust law like that, essentially the easiest way to just defeat it is you go, okay, we're all going to say it. Good luck arresting us all.
I mean, like, there was actual shit that happens. Like, you know, there was like a bunch of lynchings like a few weeks ago in Northern Ireland.
There were lynchings? Okay, tell me about this. I didn't hear about Northern Ireland lynchings. Who got lynched?
Well, some Filipinos, I think.
They're lynching Filipinos now?
I don't know. It's the fucking prods. It's what they do. See, okay, question. Do you think Romanians are white?
Do I think Romanians are white? Not the gypsies, but...
Yeah. No, like Romanian.
Yeah.
Well, a Romanian guy... Well, a Romanian guy apparently, like, raped some chick. And, well, they just started... They had a big riot, and, like, Northern Ireland kind of knows at a fucking riot. So they just started burning down houses, quite frankly.
Okay. The houses that Romanians lived in?
Well, any house that had anyone who was a foreigner, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of fucked up. People had to start putting up flags to kind of indicate which houses were safe and which houses weren't.
Oh, it's
safe.
it's like Black Lives Matter all over again. You put the Black Lives Matter sign in your window so people know not to break into your business.
Yeah, but they're not hidden businesses. They're hidden houses.
I understand that. I'm just saying the kind of similar thing. So people were putting up their flags of just whatever country they're from. So just everybody's flying flags.
No. You have to fly. It was the prods, so they tried flying British flags, but then the Irish started getting pissed at that, so that didn't really work well. So
it's all very stupid.
Northern Ireland.
So they were lynching, but they were lynching
in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, they were lynching Filipinos though, mostly.
Well, yeah, like they just tried to find some generic immigrants. It's like, I want to say like lynching, they beat some up, broke in, burned down their houses, kicked the shit out of them, but they lived. So that's something.
That's still pretty crazy though.
Yeah.
And they're still probably still preferable to going back to Philippines, even though it's like paradise there.
But I mean, the Philippines is fine. I think it's Northern Ireland. You don't fucking leave to go to the paradise that is Northern Ireland. It's not a fucking utopia.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
But back to the Kneecap thing. So they're trying to press terror charges against Kneecap. And what, people are worried that this is going to like spread, or people are mostly like, this is bullshit?
Oh, it's complete bullshit. But I mean, Kneecap's just become super popular. I mean, like they just had a fucking movie. So like all the attention, and like the fucking prime minister doesn't like him.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, if you are a band that caters to young people, the best possible thing that could happen is the prime minister of your country doesn't like you. That is the ultimate.
If you're fucking Irish Republicans, like this isn't where they don't like the country. This is, they do not want to be in the country. They want to be in a different country right beside them. This isn't like a chill thing. This is, they would very much like to leave and absolutely would. And it's like half the people would join them. Like literally, this is what the whole fucking thing for the last 800 years has been.
Sure.
Like this is not just people hate the young. This is a really, this is like genuinely backfiring, because they spent all the fucking resources on the tweets shit and missed the actual like fucking burning houses shit.
And are they trying to link the two things together in any way, or those are just separate?
No, they're different sides. They're entirely fucking different sides. Like Well, yeah, but then of course, like the Catholics are also burning down some houses too. There's been about like 100 arson attacks on asylum centers, but like that's just Irish shit. It's like I don't really think of it as news.
That's
like,
just
to be honest,
standard
it's just
Irish behavior.
Yeah, like that's just how we protest. Like there's an interesting statistics I've checked. Hate crimes in Northern Ireland have not decreased, but the people getting hate crimes have changed, which is
From
kind
what
of funny.
to what?
Well, they used to be hitting Catholics. Now they're mostly hitting, non-white people, which is,
Gotcha.
I'm sure your audience will love it.
Yeah, they're evolving over there. They're finally being like, what is with all this white on white violence? This is kind of pointless. We've done this for hundreds of years. Let's move on to something novel, I guess. Or they're just finding kind of a new point of contention.
It's funny because, like, you actually see some of the Irish racists and the the Northern Irish racists are getting along. But then, of course, they actually like checked some of the people at the marches, and it's like people who have like killed people, like they found terrorists at those marches who've killed who bombed a Catholic pub, who one I think famously broke into a Catholic house and shot the whole family. Like they found them at the marches, which kind of isn't the greatest to be marching with those people, if trying to get everyone unified.
Sure.
But it's kind of fucking interesting. And the British fucking government decided tweets are the fucking thing.
I know. They fucked up big time. James, I got to let you go, though, unfortunately, but it's good talking to you, man.
Yeah, fucking retarded. Anyway,
James from Ireland, everybody. All right, let's take another call here. Rachel.
Hello, Danny.
What is happening?
You know what? I had to call in and apologize for a few things.
Go ahead.
First of all, the floor is mine. Thank you. I would like to apologize that my female friends called your viewers bottom barrel male, low value male. That was
they're low value. Yeah, they're low value men. They are not bottom barrel. Let's give them.
You're
something.
right, especially after I've taken some time to get to know them. Mm-hmm. And I know I blew up the chat the other day. I'm sorry again, and I know I didn't deliver on my promises. And like I said, I actually got a little shy after seeing you. And, there's no way I can compete with that. So I appreciate you sharing that and being vulnerable for me in your time of the need for the chat.
Sure. I posted for people who don't know, I posted a photo with my huge fake breasts that I bought several years ago. Gigantic. They're like, I don't even know what size they are, but they're somewhere in the studio. I kind of lost track of them.
You grew those, right?
No, I haven't.
You grew them yourself. Those are natural, just like that teacher.
They're slip-on, but I think I've said this before, but I remember the first time I wore them because they're latex, and you're supposed to put like tons of baby powder on you because if you start sweating, it's like impossible to get off. And I was by myself in this bathroom, and I had it over my head, and then I was like totally stuck. And I was like, oh shit, is this how I'm going to die?
That's amazing.
Yeah, I legitimately for a second.
Choking on one of those pits?
Yeah, it's like, is this how I'm going to die? Just stuck in this bathroom, suffocating on these giant breasts?
That is amazing. Well, again, I really do appreciate it. And, I just, if I can ask everyone to stop calling me a Fed, by the way, that's important to me. Being a federal agent is exactly like a police officer. If you ask me if I'm a federal agent, I have to tell you. So, Danny, ask me.
Are you a federal agent?
Yeah. No, I'm not. See how easy that was? Obviously.
She said no, everybody.
That's the answer.
They can't lie.
Yeah.
Certainly a federal agent
I obviously
never
cannot
lie. Yeah.
Ever.
No,
I appreciate you. But thanks so much, Danny. I hope you accept my apology. Maybe next time I'll deliver. We'll see.
Apology accepted. Bye, Rachel.
Thanks, Danny. Have a good night.
Rachel, everybody. You too. All right. Let's go to Juan. I'm going to close the phone lines. We're not going to get
Hello?
Hello, Juan. Are you there?
What's up, Danny?
How's it going, man?
It's going kind of crappy, man. I'm not going to lie.
What's going on?
I'm very upset with New York, honestly. This whole Zoran situation is, man.
Are you in New York?
I'm here in Florida. No, I'm from Florida.
Oh, so man, if I didn't live in New York, I would be like, God damn, yes, please give them a socialist.
No, but So I've had family that lived there, and just as an American, it just hurts to see your quote unquote greatest city vote for some guy.
I mean, I will say this because just for context here, I believe a little over. There's like 8.2 million people in New York City. A little over 400,000 people voted for him. So I think there is still a decent chance somebody else wins. People kind of come to their senses here. But I mean, it should be enough of a scare to some people to be like, "Yo,
the fact that my issue is, so I have three concerns, right? The main one is probably the scariest, is that I think I didn't follow the race too much, but from what I can gather, the biggest thing, like the loudest point he was making, was the whole government-run or government-owned grocery stores.
Yeah, he wants to do these government,
That's what I heard
but he just wants to do 5 of them, 1 in each borough. He's basically saying it's like a pilot project, and like again, it's a subsidy. Like all you're doing is just subsidizing the cost of food. I said last week, I'm like, just cut everybody a check.
I would rather you do that than actually have the whole grocery store program and all that, because look, I'm not a natural American. I wasn't born here, but I'm born from Venezuela, and we know a thing or two about government-owned grocery stores.
Sure.
It starts as an idea. It starts as a little card, kind of like an EBT thing. Then it goes into a shop. Then the money runs out in like a year because you can't pay for anything anymore. And it just becomes someone with a folding table in a corner handing out, like, you know how the Asian restaurants give you like the half of a box to hold your bags?
Yeah.
You get one of those with labeled Ziploc bags of the worst quality food you can possibly imagine. And it's all with quotas now because there's no food anymore.
Yeah, it becomes like a food bank. I will say this, though. He's not saying that private grocery stores can't operate. Like, there's one thing, like Venezuela, I imagine they're not allowed to have private grocery stores. You could correct me if I'm wrong.
It was kind of like a half and half thing, which is probably the worst of all scenarios.
Yeah, because like again, there's no way these government stores are going to compete against fucking Whole Foods or like Trader Joe's. Like,
and my other concern was you guys don't even have grocery stores.
We have grocery stores
technically.
But like at least Trader Joe's.
At least in like the bodega thing is like the big the kind of where most people go to for like. Is it common for like I'm asking because I don't know. Usually here, or in most parts of the country, really, you see people that they every 2 weeks they go to like a Costco or a Walmart or something, and they do like a $500 shopping cart, and it'll last you like 3 weeks. Do people in New York do that?
So honestly, probably not. Like there is a Costco that's probably maybe like a 20-ish minute drive from my house. However, nobody in New York has enough space to like hold everything.
Right.
Like you don't even have enough room to hold all this. Like I literally sometimes don't buy groceries because I'm like, I don't have room in my fridge for this shit.
You can't put it anywhere. You guys don't even have pantry. You have like a shoebox on the side of your kitchen.
Exactly. Like you just don't have space for it. But I mean, there's Whole Foods everywhere. There's Trader Joe's everywhere. There's all sorts of there are grocery stores everywhere. But some people do, like I'm sure, I don't know, like I don't live in an area like that, but I'm sure people live in areas where there aren't grocery stores and they do shop at bodegas or like kind of small green grocer kind of deals.
Right.
I don't know. But again, like I think like I'm not even worried about the grocery stores. I just think it's going to be an abject failure. I'm more worried about defunding the police 100%. Business. Where you go, that will legitimately.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, dude, how long have we been hearing that crap?
And it just doesn't work. I mean, yeah,
it does not work.
No, but I am hopeful that he will not win. But it's looking like he has a good chance. But I don't know.
It's looking like it.
The city doesn't seem that retarded. Like I feel like so many people are going to kind of. They just need a good option. I still don't get why everybody hates Eric Adams. Like, yeah, he had some corruption stuff or whatever, but he's been.
I honestly don't think he was that awful.
He wasn't. He really wasn't that bad.
The problem was. What he really messed up, I think, is when the whole immigration thing kind of blew up in his face and he started getting all those buses and he correctly said, wait a minute, guys, maybe this is not such a great idea to be, open arms for millions of people.
Well, he didn't even say that from
And
like a xenophobia standpoint.
He did.
He
was
just
very
like,
modest and
he was
very
just like,
calm about it.
He's like, we can't afford this.
Yeah.
He's like,
Very reasonable. Totally
city of,
normal.
Yeah, the city of New York is not the federal government. Like, I don't think they can run a deficit. Like, they have to have. I could be wrong about this, but I believe the city has to have. I don't know, dude. I'm pretty sure they have to have a balanced budget. So he was just like, okay, well, this money, it's billions of dollars, has to come from somewhere else. And they're like, all right, we're closing libraries on Sundays.
The schools. I remember there were like things where like school buses were being used and sections of schools.
There was right by my house in Brooklyn. Right by my house in Brooklyn, they canceled all the after-school programs because they needed to use the gymnasium to house migrants.
That's outrageous.
And all these families were like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah." That's what
and Eric Adams is saying that it's not sustainable, and then people get mad at him. Like what kind of shit is that?
It's reasonable.
I don't get it.
The thing is, I don't think most people in New York City actually have an issue with that, where they're like, "That's an offense where." You can't get reelected. Man, it seems pretty common sense.
That's crazy, dude.
Juan, I gotta let you go though. I got a bunch of other callers, but good talking to you, man.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Juan, everybody. All right, let's go to Danish. Don't call in anymore, everybody. We only have 13 more minutes. So I'm gonna try and get to everybody.
Hey, Danny.
Danish, what's up, man?
I left work. I left my marketing meeting. Just really wanted to talk to you.
Good man.
So, I part of me understands that obviously Trump shouldn't willy-nilly bomb, but I get, Iran is, theocratic and, problematic. Another part of me says that if I was Iran and, Israel and the U.S. were threatening me and actually have done some action, then I would, maybe the deterrence-wise, like in international relations, say like it kind of having a nuke, in their interest kind of like makes sense. So I'm kind of,
I was listening to Lex Friedman's podcast with Scott Horton and this guy Mark Dubowitz, and essentially Scott Horton's basically saying, they weren't going to have a nuke before. He's like, they are now. He's like, you can guarantee they're going to build the nuke now. I don't know how that. He's like, they'll build it into even deeper mountain, and now they're like justified in having a nuke almost. That was his opinion, at least. I'm trying to get him on the show actually, but. That was essentially Scott Horton's opinion on the matter, was that they will for sure have a nuke now. So I don't know. But again, I didn't know this until, right before last episode, but the U.S. has been working on bombing Iran's nuclear facilities for literally 15 years. Like this was a plan that they've had going since the Obama administration, essentially. It was only Trump who, I guess, pulled the trigger on it, but they've been angling for this for a while. So this isn't some new thing. But I don't know how this resolves. Well, I guess we'll see.
We'll see. And then, I completely understand your point about like, all right, somebody shouldn't be saying death to America and coming here. Like yesterday I had heard that trying to marry a doctor in Pakistan. And I heard like, all right, I'm trying to figure out the visa situation. Obviously Trump's not going to make it easy. But then I heard that the only thing, it's not much harder, but they're going to check her social media.
Well, that's easy. Just delete anything, your posts about death to America.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to marry a chick that says that, but I'm also curious a little bit, like, what if she just has a post like, oh, the U.S. foreign policy, is really, horrid and,
I mean, I would have said normally that should be fine, but under this administration, apparently they denied a guy, like a Scandinavian tourist who had like some JD Vance meme on his phone. I don't know if this is true, but I believe it is. But they basically like went through this guy's phone and he had some JD Vance memes. Maybe I'm getting played. I don't know, but from what I looked into it, it was real. He literally just had like some JD Vance memes, like all those like, fat JD Vance photos and all those weird JD Vance photos. And they denied him for that. But again, it's like, if she's worried about that, just delete them. And then once you're in the country, if you want to go posting that shit again, go ahead. But you literally have to just do it for this short time frame. Like if you literally do not have the self-restraint, you go, I cannot not post this stuff. Even if I have like my visa meeting coming up, then like, I don't know what to tell you. But I mean, again, I agree you should be able to criticize American foreign policy, but then America's like, well, I mean, this iteration of the government is like, yeah, we don't want those people in the country. We want the fucking loyalists, even though there's plenty of Americans who criticize American foreign policy, but that's their right as Americans. It's not necessarily
True, yeah.
You know, and if she's from Pakistan, like she's definitely, you know, they definitely have their antennas up for her. I'm sure they're
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to try to find anything that they can to deny someone from Pakistan.
True. So I don't know if the word is slippery slope, but I hope there's a way to vet, because obviously you don't want the crazies, but like a way to vet it. But like you said, there's iteration. Maybe they'll take it a little bit further. So finding that balance, I guess, in all things.
I mean, again, imagine the opposite scenario. Kamala Harris won the election, and someone was denied entry in the United States because they had a Tim Waltz meme on their phone. People who watch the show would lose their fucking minds. You guys would be like, "That's crazy."
I appreciate your nuances and everything.
And those people are going to be in power again one day. That's like what you all forget is like they're all going to be in power again one day, and they're not going to forget this shit. And you don't want them doing the same stuff. So, anyways, I got to let you go, Danish. Thanks, man. Danish, everybody. Let's go to Joe. Joe, are you there?
Hi, is this thing on?
Yes, this thing is on.
Fuck. No, I always wanted to do that since I saw it on C-SPAN.
Oh, by the way, people are saying that it was a drugs thing that guy got denied. It wasn't for the J.D. Vance meme. So there you go. Okay. I stand corrected.
No, I want to talk about the Jews, i.e. monsters from Fallen Angels. But I'm glad you had that Iranian guy on.
Yeah.
Last week, you know, some common sense dude for once. But no, I'm a defend Israel. You know, it's like Iran has always been our enemy since we invaded Iraq. I mean, the amount of U.S. service members who were killed from IEDs, and even when I deployed to Syria, like ISIS wasn't even. I deployed in 2023, like wasn't a threat. It was Iranian-backed militias that were like pretty much the only threat to us.
Yeah,
so
and there are a lot of them, right? There's a lot of different Iranian-backed militias.
Yeah, I mean, especially when Assad was still in control.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was over there, a contractor died from a one-way drone, and several other service members were injured from Iranian-backed militia. So it's like kind of like fuck Iran, you know, like.
Sure. Now, not to like you know, just to not to take Iran's side. Would there be people who would say they're justified in this? Like in their dislike of the United States? Because obviously something had to have happened at some point that where, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem like, I always like to, you know, try and find the beginning of this conflict. Sometimes it's hard to find it, but like, because I am of the idea that you like, even though, you know, stuff happened a long time ago, those were different administrations. At some point you have to like just come to some sort of, you can't just be at war forever, but like you know, I talked to that guy who was on the show last week and he's essentially like, you know, these are all just psychos. But like, is there do the Iranians have a case other than just like Americans are infidels and they must die?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just ideologically driven.
Yeah.
I mean, like anything else, it's kind of a power game too, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they'd be a lot different if they didn't have all this oil, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, everyone was, we can't bomb, it'd be World War III. We bombed, nothing happened. Like, we probably could bomb them more, and, like, absolutely nothing would happen. Like, there's nothing they can do, you know?
No, they can't. I mean, the craziest thing to me that the guest last week told me that I had no idea is that their military, because it's conscripted and everybody in Iran basically hates the regime, they don't give their military weapons, because if they gave their military weapons, then they would all essentially just rise up and overthrow them. So their entire military doesn't have weapons. And then for any sort of military action, they actually have to use these militias that they pay because they're the only people they can actually trust.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's only the regime that's the problem. It's not Iran in general, like the Iranian people. And it blows my mind that you got people like Tucker Carlson and all these kind of right-wing people who seem to have now like joined with the far left people, you know, defending Iran. It just blows my mind. You know, it's like what happened to hating Muslims? Like, I thought that was our thing.
I mean, we've very much come full circle. It seems like we've come full circle in this country. No question. Yeah. Cool, man. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. Mainly just kind of defending Israel's action against, you know, Iran and their proxies, and also America's.
Yeah. America is the greatest. Iran is not. All right. Thanks, man. All right. We're going to take 2 more callers. Then we got to get to the guests. I'm sorry if I don't get to you, but it looks like we'll have extra time and we can chat. Hello.
Danny D, how's it going?
What's up, man?
So, for you is, with Olivia Chow as mayor of Toronto and potentially Zordon as mayor of New York,
yeah,
do you think they'll form some sort of gay alliance together, or is Zordon going to send his Rainbow Rangers to liberate Canada?
Zordon's not going to do anything with Canada. I'm sure they'll make some sort of pact, though, where they're like some sort of socialist pact. For people that don't know, Olivia Chow is the mayor of Toronto. She's also a socialist. From what I understand, not doing a great job in Toronto. Do you live in Toronto?
I do.
Yeah. From what I understand, not doing a great job in Toronto. I think Toronto's problems are a big part of just the fact that Canada's not doing great right now, period.
We're doing our part.
Yeah. But Toronto seems like, I saw something where like the Toronto housing market is like absolutely like, it's the worst it's been in 30 years or something.
There's just inventory. There's just inventory on the market right now. Yeah, no one's buying. Everything's really overpriced. I mean, you lived here before. You know how it is.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. Toronto is like, we were talking about, I was talking with Ryan about it. We're like, they listed, you know, affordability for cities, and Toronto's not even in the top 20 most expensive cities. Like, it's actually relatively normal, as crazy as that must sound to you. But
well, I mean, in terms of the states, we have the same economy as like Mississippi or something. So it's,
yeah.
I mean, it's just Toronto always thinking they're big hog, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's true. Yeah, I don't know about this. I mean, you would think that New York would look at Toronto and be like, hey, this socialism thing. But you know what? It's probably the kind of thing where it's cyclical, and every just certain amount of time, just people kind of are just like itching to remember why socialism is a bad idea. Like, I'm sure after Olivia Chow's gone, although Toronto, all you'll ever get is left or super left. I don't know. When was the last conservative mayor of Toronto? Maybe Mel Lastman? If he was a conservative, I don't even know.
I don't even think they'd think Mel Lastman was a conservative.
Yeah, I don't even know if he was a conservative. I just assumed he might have been. I don't even know what his politics were. I just would have assumed. But
he called in the army to shovel the snow.
I do remember that. Yeah, he did call in the army to shovel the snow, which I don't think is something a mayor has the power to do. But he did do that.
No.
He did do that. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I still am hopeful that Zoran will not get elected, where people will come to their senses, but the city is full of retards, just like Toronto, so you never know. Anyways, I gotta let you go. I gotta get to our guests, unfortunately, or fortunately. Good talking to you, man.
Bye, man.
All right, everybody. I apologize if I didn't get to you. I know some of you are waiting on the line. That is my bad. We have to get to our guests, though. Feel free to call back. I'm sorry again for not getting to you. Hold on. It was my fault for not closing the phone lines open sign sooner, but hey, it's a good problem to have. All right, everybody, we're going to take a few-minute break, and we'll be back very shortly with Izzy Griffin. Sit tight. Don't go nowhere. All right, we are back. Thank you very much, everybody, for waiting patiently. Joining me is Izzy Griffin right now. He's the host of Izzy's World on YouTube, where he covers conspiracies in the music industry and much more, I believe. How's it going, Izzy?
It's going well, man. How you doing today?
Is that your real name? That's actually my dad's name.
It's a nickname. It's a nickname I was given in college. I was in a band and I was a bit of a party guy. So they my first name is Isaac. So they started calling me Izzy, like Izzy Isborn, because I was a fan of the drugs and alcohol. So
gotcha.
It's like a human trash can. So
yeah. Sounds fun. So that's how you kind of got into the music world, I guess, and started kind of uncovering these conspiracies.
It started before that. Like, I was in a band, in college, but before that, I was a musician all growing up, played, instruments, but my dad, he was, in the music industry throughout the, late 80s and the 90s. He was signed to Geffen. He toured with like John Bon Jovi and a bunch of really big names. He did a bunch of cool stuff. And he left the industry because of the weird shit that started happening with him. And he kind of distanced himself. And so the stories he told me always kind of, persisted and made me interested, right? And then as I was in a band, the band was really good. We got attention, ended up getting a little management deal, some other little stuff. And it got really weird really fast. And yeah.
like weird, weird. I'm sure everybody wants to know, but weird how?
So
they make you wear a dress?
No, nothing like that. They didn't do any of that kind of shit, but like just weird in terms of like my manager and management, they worked with like Zeppelin and Jimmy Page, and there was like some stuff that had to do with these like dice that Jimmy Page had gotten, and they were like from Crowley apparently, and it's like you roll the dice and it's like this weird fucking soul thing. I don't know, man. That was like, I was really I was young at the time.
But so what was the context of this? Like you were like, hey, should we go do this tour? And they're like, let's roll the dice.
Well, so the way that it ended up working was like with my band, we were working on getting a management deal, right? So we had like a management deal with a company that managed like really big bands like Kiss, John Bon Jovi and all that stuff, right? And the way that it kind of went down was my dad was friends with these people, right? Like he worked with them when he was in the industry, but they remained friends, but like not work. They didn't work together. They were just friends, right? Because my dad chose to leave. So I stole my dad's like, I stole a bunch of emails from my dad's email address and got access to these people. And I started like emailing them and reaching out, and it went more of a business route. And yeah, so that's how that kind of worked out in that way.
But that was the extent of the weird stuff, was just this dice set they had?
No, that was just one thing. That was just one thing. It more so got into me researching everything kind of from there and finding out more and more. That was like the extent.
Because there is like some, I always roll my eyes when people are like, you know, Satanism in the music industry, and you're like, yeah, that was just because I was like edgy shit, you know, like it was just kind of like, you know, it was just a reaction to this like wholesome music, and they go, yeah, we love Satan or whatever, but you're like, they didn't like fucking who's the dude, I can't remember his name, the School's Out for Summer guy, Alice Cooper.
Yeah, Alice Cooper.
Like he's like an old Jewish man.
Right, so there is stuff that's like Satanism that is,
and same with Kiss. They're not like it's aesthetic.
Yeah, well,
Kiss
like
sell albums.
Yeah, Kiss is who my band was slated to open for. So
really?
Yeah, so that is kind of, there is the aesthetic side of it, but then there is more of the weird kind of shit that they don't really talk about as much. That is like a weird part of it. So like the thing with like the Crowley dice thing, right? Like, do I really think that, you know, if I rolled these dice, I would have my soul be stolen or whatever? I don't really know. But I think that, you know, there is more to it, right? Like,
did they try and get you to roll the dice though?
Yeah.
They did.
So like in a metaphorical sense, right? There's obviously selling your soul, right? But there's also the thing of like, okay, so this management agency, they managed John Bon Jovi as well, right? Well, John Bon Jovi's manager, the guy who owned this management company, at the time in the 80s, was busted for one of the biggest drug deals in American history. He was trafficking marijuana and cocaine from South America. And what ended up happening was, with this drug bust, he ended up having to do a bunch of sort of these concerts that were then held in Russia during the end of the Cold War. So it was kind of like this deal where he was caught, you know, trafficking drugs using these tours as a front.
Who is this guy again?
I think I know. Drugs.
I think
his name is Doc McGee.
Okay. Yeah. I think
so. Yeah. So like, there's more going on than just like, oh, there's Satan and the devil and all of this stuff, right? Like there's like, these people do these nefarious things using tours and using music as a front, obviously for trafficking, the P. Diddy shit, all that stuff. It's like a huge, deep, vast well of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was a question from one of the super chatters. This is a topic that is close to my heart. You might not know what I'm talking about at all. Do you know who Peter Schickele is?
No, I don't.
No, okay. He was this composer guy. He was like a classical composer who was like kind of a comedian, but like not really. He did like really highbrow, like composer satire, I guess you could call it. But he won the Grammy Award for Best Comedy Album 4 years in a row in the 90s.
Okay.
Like he literally beat like George Carlin and Adam Sandler and like anybody you could think of. But I was he died recently, but I was trying to get to the bottom of it because it doesn't make any sense that this guy.
As to what? So
why this guy would win Best Comedy Album 4 years.
So I can kind of break some of that down. So I have this is going to sound kind of interesting. I had a friend in college who his mother dated this lawyer who was like Michael Jackson's lawyer, James Brown's lawyer, super famous, super famous guy. And now he deals with the Grammy stuff. He's on the board of voting for Grammys. So the political side of who wins Grammys is all about not only who you know, who the person who is winning or being voted for knows. There's a ton of shit that goes on. Cause like, you got to think this guy, right? His last name is Katz. This guy is like fucking 75 years old. He doesn't know who fucking Kendrick Lamar is, right? Like he doesn't know who, so he's voting for people based off of the interests of, you know, his business relationships, the people he knows, etc. It's a ton of stuff. So
sure. It's so kind of rigged is what you're saying.
Yeah. It's all fake,
I spoke with this guy. I can't remember his name, but I talked to him on the phone. He used to be a Grammy voter, and then he wrote a piece for Rolling Stone about how it works, and they like kicked him out. And I talked to him on the phone. He said something kind of similar. Essentially, he's like, a lot of people on the Grammy voting board, especially like in the 90s, were all like classical music people. Like this guy, Peter Schickel, like he went to Juilliard with like Philip Glass. Like these are the type of people he's like friends with. So essentially, like they weren't listening to the best new country like album, and they weren't listening to the comedy albums. And this guy was like a classical composer who probably just like knew a lot of the people who did the voting, and he just knew them, and there weren't that many votes cast for this category, and he just like kind of got them to just vote for him every year.
Yeah, that's basically kind of what it is. Yeah, definitely.
So, all right.
Yeah,
I was hoping that I could speak with him before he died, but he was ducking me pretty hard.
Yeah. So much so he took it to the grave.
He did. I mean, it is, in my opinion, one of the greatest comedy conspiracies that's ever, maybe the greatest comedy conspiracy ever. Like this guy, who,
like over Carlin, and I mean, that's pretty.
Everybody,
crazy.
The closest, like, and I don't know anybody who knows him. The closest I've got is I was doing Ari Shafir's podcast, and we were Skeptic Tank, and we were talking about this. And Ari's like, I don't know who the fuck you're talking about. And then Ari texted Louis C.K. and Louis like, yeah, I know who that guy is. Like Louis C.K. knew who he was. But like, I asked a lot of people. I asked Dice, who was at the stand one night. Dice lost out to him. And this is like prime time. Like Dice was the biggest celebrity in the world.
Yeah, he was massive. Like when he was big, he was huge. Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy beat like Weird Al one year. But anyways, we asked Dice. And Dice was like, I've never even heard of this guy. And this is the guy who beat him for Grammy in like 91 or something. And Dice was like, never even heard of this guy. We're like, this is the guy who beat you in the Grammy. He's like, no idea who he is.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's wild, man. Yeah, the Grammys are, it's so funny to see like, you know, last Grammys, like a bunch of people won because there's like this shift that's going on in the industry, right? And it's like a lot of new artists are emerging and are really taking the forefront of these sort of gaps that have been left, right? So you have like Sabrina Carpenter, Chapelle Rone, these artists that are younger, but they're kind of becoming massive via the way the industry is sort of propping them up, right? And it's so funny because it like became this massive like posturing and grandstanding of these artists where it was like a lot more about their sort of, how do you say, virtue signaling like propaganda than their music, right? Like if you
Sure.
win like, you know, best pop single or whatever the fuck it is, like you should be excited because you wrote a good song, not going up there and bitching about your like Medicare, you know, like, I don't know. It's just really, it's really interesting how they use this award thing to like politicize and kind of like, I don't know. It's just very, it sucks.
You don't think
It
it's
just
an element
sucks.
of just like how far up their own asses they are, where they're just like, if
I definitely do.
they're
I
like,
definitely do think
if I
that,
don't
yeah.
talk about this, nobody will, kind of thing. And you're like, everyone's
I think
talking
it's
about this.
right. Yeah, I think it's an element of both, right? Like, I think it's there's a lot going on with it. Like Chapelle Rone, for example, was like bitching about how she didn't have health care, but she's like, you know, she's like signed to this deal, and I like did a bunch of research on her, and she's like, she went to Interlochen, this school that was like funded by Epstein and Maxwell, this like music camp. She was signed at 17 years old. She's like done insane things and been extremely privileged her whole life. And she uses her Grammy speech platform to like complain when it's like, you've been plugged in since you were a fucking kid. Like, what are you bitching about? Like, go be happy about your Grammy. Like, I don't know.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
Yeah.
Changing gears here. The Costco guys, are they demons?
Costco guys. Oh shit. I don't think they're demons. The Costco guys are, it's fake though. Like they've been plugged into your algorithm, by a talent agency known as Night Media. That's why you saw them as much as you did.
So there are talent agencies who can basically, they pay to just override the algorithm?
Yeah, they pay to override the algorithm. They insert you into the algorithm,
and not in a
just
sponsored. It's not like it doesn't show up as sponsored. It shows up as organic.
Yeah, and that's sort of what it is. It's this guise of organicness. Same thing with like Kai Cenat. Like he's signed to this talent agency, and this talent agency, Night Media, is backed by angel investors who've backed Amazon, Disney, all that stuff. So like Mr. Beast, Kai Cenat, all of that shit is all, injected by. It's like it's Disney. It's like owned by Disney and Amazon. It's all fake. It's like all fucking.
And so, what is
fake.
like Meta, Instagram? What do they get out of this? Just money?
I don't necessarily know what they get out of it, but I'm sure that there are some sort of back deal partnerships with these agencies and everything else. Like I'm sure they might pay them for the algorithms or something like that. But yeah, like that's why the Costco guy. Like I was seeing the Costco guys. I'm not like I've never watched that kind of content, and I was getting like 10 big booms a day. It's like fucking crazy.
Yeah. I hated it. But someone says AH in the chat says, is Jared Leto a CIA asset?
I wouldn't be surprised if he was, but I think there's something super weird with him going on. Like he owns like some weird thing in Laurel Canyon, doesn't he? It's like some weird. He owns like some weird thing in Laurel Canyon, and people have been coming out about a bunch of, sex pest stuff recently. But I don't know if he's a CIA asset, but I think that there is something nefarious going on there for sure. It's like very bizarre for sure.
Yeah. I was at a party just after COVID ended, or not ended, but like in 2021, maybe 2022 with somebody, and they like kind of knew him, and they were basically like, he went on some like silent, like off the grid retreat during COVID or whatever. And basically like no phone, no nothing. And like, it was before the lockdowns and like all the COVID stuff started. And he came out after like, so essentially he like came out in like, I don't know, maybe April of like 2020, but he had gone in like for months kind of thing. And so they had to be like, yo, all this shit happened. And he had no idea. He was just like, what?
Oh, that's wild. Yeah, he does those like weird. I'm suspicious of anybody who jokingly calls their like fan base a cult in a joking way, especially when they operate the way that Leto does. Like he's just very peculiar, and like I don't know, man. I just think that that's like weird as fuck to be like, yeah, you guys are my cult followers. It's a joke, right? Like I don't know. I don't know. I think there's something with that for sure, though.
Something weird there. So what are the biggest conspiracies in the music business that we might not know about? Some of the bigger ones.
Well, I think
I'm sure
like,
you have many.
Yeah, I think like a big one for sure is like what I was talking about earlier when it comes to like John Bon Jovi, that whole thing, like that whole his manager using tours and everything to traffic drugs, that whole thing like helped to end the Cold War, because I can't remember the exact details. I researched this like years ago, but it was like essentially a massive like music festival, and a bunch of American bands, some of which Doc McGee was managing, Scorpion, Bon Jovi, they all went and played this big festival, and it was supposed to represent, you know, the U.S. and the Soviet Union kind of having this sort of putting their differences aside, right? And the U.S.
Where was
used
it? Was it in?
It was in. I believe it was in Moscow. It was in the.
Okay.
It was in the USSR, and the U.S. used it to like move, you know, people into Moscow and into the USSR, and it ended up like the Soviet Union collapsed like not very long after. I think it was like 6 or 7 months after. Those numbers are going to be a little off. I have a whole breakdown of it, a whole hour-long breakdown.
Not long afterwards.
Not long after, yeah, and it's just really bizarre. I think another big one is obviously the P. Diddy thing. Like I was talking about the P. Diddy thing like 3 years ago, and how it's a lot crazier than people think. You know, there's a lot. I just think that, you know, there's a lot of, I think a lot of people in the industry use music and the way that it operates as a front. Like, if you think about it, right, like using a tour to traffic drugs or something is like the perfect thing. You have all this cash coming in from merch sales. You have these people in all of these buses going across the country that could be filled with anything. Really, I mean, if you're going to traffic drugs and you have you have 5 tour buses, let's say, all it takes is like one person on the tour to know about it, and you have one little like fucking trailer full of something, and you take it wherever. You know, I mean, that's like super, super well researched shit with all of that.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised about that, because a lot of people like, you know, get into the music business and they're probably in the drug business before, and then eventually they're like, oh, we could just do both of these things at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of
like
set up well for it.
Yeah. Like Jay-Z's whole career was like, he funded himself like literally selling drugs. That's how he got big. Same thing with John Bon Jovi. John Bon Jovi was a drug dealer.
Really?
Yeah. There's articles about it. Look it up.
What was he selling?
He sold
just weed?
I think it was just weed. Yeah. I don't think, but also, I mean, like same thing with his manager. Like there's a bunch of shit, dude. There's so much. I think
anything more nefarious than just drug dealing? Because that doesn't like
human trafficking for sure. I mean, P. Diddy was definitely human trafficking. Like, I mean, think about this, dude. Like you had Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell had a building named after them at the Interlochen Music Camp, which is like a massive music camp where kids go every summer to, you know, whatever. And they had a building named after them. They like were using this music camp to literally traffic kids. There's a whole thing about it. It was a part of his first pedophile court case.
Really? And like, were there people who came out and said that like they were trafficked from?
Yeah. Yeah. They like used this music camp to do that. You know what I mean? So I think there's definitely human trafficking. I think there's definitely drug trafficking. I think that there's definitely spiritual aspects to all of it as well. I know you seem kind of skeptical about the spiritual stuff, but I think, I think there's a lot more going on.
Like what? I mean, I'm not skeptical necessarily about everything. I just like when people instantly are like, "Oh, he's like devil worshiping," and I'm like, that was kind of like, you know, that was kind of just. Like
I agree. I agree. I think like. I just think like, you know, you have these people, right? Like Rick Rubin, like people always like wonder what it is Rick Rubin actually does in terms of like he's a producer, like he produces albums, but it's like, what does he do? Right. Cause like, if you listen to him talk about like when he wrote, like, he helped Jay-Z write 99 Problems. And what he kind of does is he gives Jay-Z advice, but it's always this very vague, like, how does this sound? Change this. It's never really concrete. Like, let's add reverb on this.
Well, because he's not a musician, right?
Right. So it's always this amorphous thing. So I've researched it like a ton, and I'm going to do kind of a bigger project on this eventually, but he's super into esoterica and the occult, like a lot. And a lot of, like, he has a whole occult library. Like, a lot of what he's doing is he is sort of channeling what he calls source, right? And he is telling musicians to do the same thing while they're writing. So it's like, do I think that Rick Rubin is like telling, you know, Jay-Z or whoever it is to like put Satan in his music? It's like, no. But as somebody who believes in spirituality and that there's more to reality than just the material, I think that when you're channeling something, because that's what his entire book is about, finding source, literally grabbing ideas from the ether, pulling them into you.
Sure, he's trying to like dial. He's trying to like, you know, as like an artist, you're like trying to.
Yeah. And so I think that like when you're doing that, I think you can definitely tap into something that's a little dark, a little this, a little of that. You know what I mean? And I think that, I don't know. I just think I think there's a lot to it.
Do you think that that's like a lot of like the gangster rap stuff?
Well, yeah, I did a thing on gangster rap and how it's kind of, so one thing I do is I source everything I say, and everything I talk about is all sourced. So like, I don't just say things and it's like, yeah, it's just, that's how it is. Like if I research something, I have the sources, I post them, it's all in my thing, whatever. But supposedly there was a meeting that took place in the Hollywood Hills that was a hard, like, this is what hip hop is going to become. We are changing it, right? And it's from an anonymous source, so it's kind of hard to say like who it was or whatever, or to completely verify it. But apparently right before gangster rap came in and like NWA really changed hip hop, there was a massive meeting with all of the labels and all of the you know, the people who ran the hip hop departments or whatever. And it was a hard shift into gangster rap. And, you know, if you look into the money and you follow the money of the people who financier, you know, the music industry, they're the same people who own the private prisons. They're the same people who are trafficking the drugs. So they're getting it from three ways. It's like, you're getting the music sales, you're getting it off of the people who are incarcerated due to, you know, the drug aspect and the drug culture of the music sales, and then you're getting it on the drug sales as well.
And the fact that you're like turning all these people into criminals from listening to the music.
Right. Yeah.
That's,
definitely.
I mean, if that's actually true, that is literally impressive that someone could have the foresight to do that, and then that actually work from every element. You're like, that's crazy that you now did the gangster rap, like, did they exist prior to this, or were they like concocted like a boy band? Like, did they exist and they go like, someone saw it, like an A&R person like saw that and they go like, that's the future? Or were they like, just like, we need to make this happen because this is I think
it was a bit of both. I know like Ice Cube, people say that he like went to a private school. I don't think he went to a private school, but he's from like a nicer area. And I think it was a little of both. I think they kind of took these guys and kind of put them into this group, right? And then it became NWA. But I mean, if you look at like, it was a pretty hard turn. Like it was gangster rap all of a sudden. Yeah. And that's what it was. And I understand.
It was basically like Will Smith.
Yeah.
And then it was just like gangster rap.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, the thing is, too, is like genres do emerge. Things do get popular organically. I kind of used to be somebody who was really thought it was all, you know, orchestrated. And I think a lot of it is. But I think,
stuff is no question in music. Like there are people who are like, you know, we're going to pay to make a band. Like we're just going to spend all this money and hopefully it catches on and becomes this, you know, like Backstreet Boys or some shit.
Yeah, no, that happens too. But it's like, it's interesting too, because like even if you look into like punk in like the 80s and kind of the way that went, like a lot of that stuff was from DC. Like Henry Rollins, for example. Henry Rollins' father, his father wasn't in his life, right? So whatever. But Henry Rollins' dad was like this guy who helped Nixon get the U.S. off the gold standard. He was like literally like a Fed. He was like a federal economist. And like Rollins does this thing where he like says his last name is actually Rollins and it's not, it's Garfield. You know, so it's like there's a lot of stuff like that where it's like, okay, Rollins was added to Black Flag later. His dad is like involved with like the federal government. Like, is Henry Rollins an extension of that? I don't know, but it's pretty fucking weird. Like,
I mean, a lot of
like,
people's
you know,
parents probably work for the federal government. I guess it depends how high up, obviously.
well, I think it's one thing to like work for the federal government, and it's another thing to be in charge of like the
Eliminating
way,
gold or some shit.
yeah, like taking us off the gold standard, and because of this whole war that happened via Israel and whoever it was, Egypt or Yemen or something. Yeah, I have a whole thing on it, but it's like, you know, I understand like happenstance, and I understand that, but eventually it's kind of like, how many times does this happen? Like,
Sure.
for example, Dave Grohl's dad, Dave Grohl's father, wrote speeches for Ronald Reagan.
Really?
He wrote speeches for Ronald Reagan. And if you look it up, there's like this like article about how like Dave Grohl was beat up when he was protesting against Reagan. It's like this whole thing. And you have to like break your back finding the actual sourcing and researching on it. And I've done it. But it's like, how many of those is it going to be until it's like, okay, this is a little weird. These connections there's so many of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, we had Adam 22, you know him?
Yeah.
He was on, and he has like some crazy, like his dad or his uncle or something was like, something like that. It was like Bill Clinton's speechwriter or some shit.
Nah, he did something, I think it was, I want to
Something
say
with
it
Bill
was his
Clinton.
dad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was his dad. Something with Bill Clinton.
Yeah, it was Bill Clinton, and he had to be pardoned. He was pardoned by the Clintons.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it was something with like election meddling that he was pardoned for.
Yeah, it might have been on the state level. I don't know if it was on the federal.
Federal,
maybe when he
yeah.
was the governor of Arkansas.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Anyways, the phone lines are open. Everybody, 1-888-949-2969. If you have any questions for Izzy, let's take a call right now. Actually, we got someone who already jumped the gun here. 1 second, please. We're going all the way to Quebec. Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yo.
Hey, Danny. By the way, before you dig in on me again,
Yeah.
the longer you take to answer me, drunker I get. So it's really
I know.
like
Well, it's like we
chicken
started
and
the
egg.
show 2 hours earlier. Imagine how drunk you would be if we started at the normal time. You'd be fucking blacked out.
Well, in my defense, I do like to start drinking when you start talking.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Well, you sound pretty
Okay.
hammered. So, let's go.
quick Powerball session.
Yeah.
So I have a question about Young Gravy.
Sure.
So I only found him out because I'm really into Weird Al and parody music. And he started showing up in my algorithm. And then supposedly he's a real rapper and everything. And
I mean, I guess
was shocked by that.
I guess the question is what constitutes a real rapper, other than
I guess. Well, he
he
makes
can
rhymes,
rap.
and it's not
I mean,
parody music.
Yeah, it's not parody
But he brought, like, I guess I also had his earlier albums, which was about the gravy boat and like trying to really brand himself. So, fair enough.
Thoughts there, Izzy?
Yeah, I think like when it comes to that stuff, there's meme rap is like a whole genre, and it's a whole thing unto itself. And it's kind of like, it's really interesting because it's like, I'm sure you're familiar with like meta commentary or like meta humor.
Yeah.
Where you like, you
Little
can't.
Dicky and stuff.
Yeah, well, Lil Dicky's a little more parody, but I would say like with the meme rap, you almost can't tell if it's parody or not, and that's supposed to be the charm of it. And so I would say that's kind of like what Young Gravy's thing is it's like playing with this line of like irony and post irony and meta, and I don't know, it's really interesting. Some of his stuff is pretty good.
No, I agree. Hey, man, technically I can say I was there at the beginning.
There you go. That
Didn't
always
know
rocks.
he was a real rapper, but hey, man, I still was listening. Also, side note with the whole entire Backstreet Boy things, that is the legit plot of the Pussycat Dolls movie, where a corporation hires a bunch of randoms that are kind of okay with music, kill off the Backstreet Boys in a plane crash, and then make them the new superstars.
Why have
I don't know if
you,
you guys are
as a
familiar.
grown man, seen the Pussycat Dolls movie?
I have two sisters.
Gotcha. Okay. Just had to get to the bottom of that. I did not know that that's.
I'm
but
the
I mean,
middle
that's the thing
child
is
as well.
there used to be like when CDs were still kicking, like that was like big money. If you could make a band, like you could make. I mean, I saw the what's the guy who went to jail? The NSYNC Backstreet Boys guy.
The guy with the greasy hair.
Yeah, the Jewish guy, fat Jewish guy.
Okay,
Pearl or
see,
something.
that's too much for me.
I mean,
I don't know that guy.
that probably doesn't clarify things enough. The guy who started the Backstreet Boys.
The guy who
Behind it.
Lou
Josie and the Pussycat.
Pearlman.
Sorry.
No, Lou Pearlman.
Sorry, Josie and the Pussycat Dolls.
Josie and the Pussycat.
That's the movie.
Yeah, Lou Pearlman. He started the Backstreet Boys, and he had this like whole like scam Ponzi scheme thing. It's really good. If you ever see the Netflix documentary, all about that. But he was like printing money with the Backstreet Boys, and then he kept trying to just do it over and over again, and then basically just like lost his ass.
Never knew.
But there,
Also,
I don't know if there's the money in it like there
a
used
little
to be.
bit more.
What's that?
I'm going to go the Irish guy.
Yeah, James.
I think he can maybe make money off of sending them to Newfoundland.
Send the Irish to
Supposedly
Newfoundland?
they all speak the same. Yeah, because they all sound the same, because that's where they came originally.
Yeah, they do. If you go there, they have a very distinct Canadian accent, which is
Who is Rachel as well?
Just a listener of the show.
Well, yeah, I've been listening since it's 12 minutes since the start. And who is Rachel?
I don't know. What do you mean? Who is she?
She's
the same as who are you?
I'm TJ. I am me. But I didn't call in and make a knip shit. And I did not also start spamming the chat by not being a Fed. I have no clue who this woman is.
It sounds like she's probably TJ. It sounds like she's probably a Fed. Yeah, I mean, I was saying it was embarrassing because last week after the show, she started posting in the Low Value Mail on the Patreon. We have this chat there.
Oh.
And literally I like open it and there's like 100 unread messages. I'm just like, you guys are pathetic. Like first time a woman shows up, it's like the fucking thing is just going like million messages. I'm like, there's more messages than there have been in a month. You guys do not know how to behave when a woman's around. It's
demographics.
Yeah, I guess. All right, TJ, anything else, man?
All right. I was going to pick his brain on one more, what he would consider a more modern day type plant besides like techno-y or something.
Yeah,
like,
any of your biggest, who are your biggest plants right now? Top plants.
Top plant, man, there's so fucking many
Thank
of them,
you.
dude. I think you said techno-y plant too, right?
Yeah.
I would say there's this kid, and I actually like his music, so I'm not like trying to talk shit about him, but Two Hollis's mother, and he's new, but he's pretty big. He's open for some pretty big artists like Ken Carson, who's pretty big. But his mom started this company called Owsla, and she like founded Skrillex, and she's like the Weekend spiritual guide, and Two Hollis is her son, and she's like so embedded in the music industry, it's like fucking insane. So,
I mean, there's insane amount, like in the entertainment industry in general, like the nepotism.
Yeah,
there's insane amounts of nepotism. Like that's just It's always been like that. It's always will be like that. Like it's what it is.
All right. I really appreciate the time, boys. Take care. I probably won't call back in because I'll be blackout by that point.
All right. Sounds good.
Take care.
Later, buddy. Yeah, I mean, I guess the difference with like the nepotism stuff is you go like, especially for a musician, is you're like, well, do they at least write their own music and then that music is good and then you're like, whatever? Or is it like they are literally like their parents are somebody famous and they got someone to write all their music for them and they're just a shell?
Yeah, I would say it's a lot of probably the latter of what you said, but it's, it's one of those things where it's like there was a time where I was really invested in that whole thing. And then I just realized like it's literally everyone. So you have to just kind of be like, yeah, this sucks, whatever. Like, I mean, like with
It's
me,
just the way the
right?
world works.
Yeah. Like with me, like, I wasn't a pure product of nepotism, but I stole an email address out of my dad's email.
Sure, if your dad was a plumber, you would have never had access.
Right,
to
that would have never happened. So, you know what I mean? So I think there's like it's just like with everything. There's a line to it. There's nuance to everything and all of it. And it's like I kind of like the kid's music, so it's kind of like whatever,
And he makes the music himself.
I believe so. I think
so. At that point,
yeah.
Like there is some element. I mean, if he's writing it himself, then he's probably just a good musician.
Right.
All right. Let's take another call here. We got Dylan. Dylan, are you there?
Good night, Mr. Danny.
Hello.
Time.
What's up, buddy?
Hey there. First off, I just want to say I know that you're feeling a little threatened because of this socialist anti-Semite trying to kick you out of New York.
He ain't kicking me out of New York.
And if you need somewhere, well, he's going to. And if you need somewhere to stay, just know that your dog can stay with me.
Okay. Thank you. We can house him with you
Yeah.
while we find somewhere else to go.
You can't, but the dog can.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll probably just go to New Jersey, to be honest. If shit really hits the fan.
Yeah, this guy is really into the music scene and knows the conspiracies about it. Does he have any ideas about Morrison and the Doors recording in a CIA studio?
I don't know if they recorded in a CIA studio, but yeah, I know that Morrison's father, he basically started the Vietnam War, which is pretty interesting. And yeah, but it gets weird with Morrison because apparently him and his father never he didn't speak to his father as soon as he moved out after 18. So I could see a couple different sides to it, but I think that the Doors were definitely instrumental. Like Morrison was kind of like not the first, but one of the first prototypical rock stars in terms of bad boy rock star kind of a thing, and the Doors of Perception were all about it was the Doors because it was the Doors of Perception based off that book. So it's all about, changing your perspective and, spiritually and a bunch of shit. So I could definitely see it being a part of the kind of the MK Ultra initiative and all that stuff that was going on at the time.
Yeah,
Definitely.
because there definitely is an element with musicians, not saying this is specifically in these cases, but when your dad is some stuck up Republican military guy or political whatever works in the government, you go the opposite direction.
Yeah,
that happens for people who are parents are not of any significant professions. People just do that. That's kind of a natural thing. That's why everybody's yeah, my parents are Republican and I'm crazy socialist. It's just, I think it's kind of natural.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
In that same genre, also, they've got the Grateful Dead. I know you're a fan of them, Danny, and kind of being part of possibly a psyop to spread the acid.
Acid everywhere. Yeah, I've heard this. What is the story with the acid in the dead?
Yeah. So the Grateful Dead were. Yeah, they were sort of used to kind of traffic LSD. In my opinion, they were used to traffic LSD through the United States. There's also FBI documents that talk about Jerry Garcia meeting with this guy. I can't remember his name. I did the research on this so long ago. But there's this guy that basically was responsible for creating all of the acid at the time and in those years. And there's a bunch of FBI documents that are now public that talk about Jerry meeting with him. There's a bunch of redacted stuff on it too. But yeah, the Dead were definitely used for that reason. I mean, even there's a one song, U.S. Blues, where Jerry Garcia talks about, I'm Uncle Sam. He kind of hides some stuff in their lyrics. I think that they were very aware of kind of that whole thing.
Sure.
Personally, yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't have taken a lot of coaxing to get those people to use fucking acid.
Yeah.
That's for sure. It wouldn't have taken a lot to get them to do that. But yeah, I have heard that. I don't know if I heard that from maybe saw it on your Instagram, but
Yeah, possibly. That's kind of. It was really funny. I used to live with like some Deadheads. They were kind of older. They had like a Grateful Dead cover band, and I've never been a big fan of the Dead, you know. And then I started doing this research, and then
they got their hooks in you.
Yeah, I was kind of like, you know what? It's pretty funny.
It's quintessential American music. It's Americana.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Anything else there, Dylan?
Do you know anything about the Monsters at Megaphone, where Dickie Crickets and Kid Jersey, they used to compete? Basically, like where they started making ads out of pruning and stuff. And like Kid Jersey, he was actually the one that invented the phrase "thank you," but it was like a whole psyop to turn music into an advertising thing.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that.
You? Like
Yeah,
invented the greeting?
Invented the phrase "thank you." Yeah.
What? When was that?
Kid Jersey. Back in the old days when they were doing crooning and stuff. It was called the Monsters at Megaphone.
Hmm. Interesting. I never heard that.
And I guess one more thing too, if you're looking for a socialist that you want to talk to, I don't know if he's still doing interviews, but his son's kind of big into it. Michael Parenti, he's probably the only socialist I respect
Michael
at all.
Parenti.
He's a very...
Is he on Twitter?
Yeah, he's really... he's like 91 years old. I doubt it, but he has a lot of good quotes and speeches, and he's really, really good. He'd probably be, even Slav would probably like him because he calls out the government for their involvement in the Serbian war.
Interesting. You think he knows how to use it like Zoom and stuff? At 91, he would be by far the oldest guest we've ever had.
Christian Parenti.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. Does his son have Twitter?
Oh, I don't know. I don't keep up with that gay shit. I'm not a socialist.
All right. I'll try and find him. If anybody knows of any socialists
All right,
I can talk to, let me know.
Mr. Danny.
Later, buddy. Vince has a question from the chat. He says, "Do you wash your legs?"
Me?
Yeah.
Why?
It's an ongoing gag we have. Some people don't wash their legs.
Yeah, I wash the shit out of my legs. I'm like I do like Muay Thai and I run a lot, so I have to. I get disgusting. I get dirty as hell.
All right, fair enough. Got to wash your legs. Oh, speaking of music, we have the son of a famous musician coming on. One moment, please. Find out if the CIA funded his whole thing. Hold on 1 second, please. Rafe. Oh, come on, man. This guy's called in a million times. He doesn't know how to fucking unmute himself. You know who Mojo Nixon is?
No,
Yo.
I'm not familiar.
What's up?
Yeah, dude, he doesn't know who my dad is.
Fuck, because he wasn't a Fed.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was pretty against all that bullshit. But Jim Morrison's parents died in Coronado, where I grew up. My mom was like, on both their sitting right next to them when they died.
Your mom was sitting next to Jim Morrison's parents when they both died at the same time?
Yeah, they were literally alone. It was just them two. He died first in like 2005, and then she died in like 2008 or something like that.
Wow.
And yeah, because Coronado was like one of the main bases out there, and he was a rear fucking admiral. Like I had friends in high school whose dads were rear admirals, and they would just disappear for a year. Like it was nuts.
Interesting.
Well, and then also, do you know Oracle, the Sony distribution company?
Tell me more about it. It sounds familiar. If it's owned by Sony.
Yeah, it's owned by Sony. They do Bad Bunny. That's like the big hit.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm friends with like the VP over there, And we're like really close family friends. And he's like, yeah, dude, I don't really know what I do for a living. I'm getting paid a lot of money to just meet with people and stuff, but I'm not really doing anything. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It's probably a lot of people. It's probably a lot of people's jobs. They go, I don't really know what I do, but if I say anything, they'll find me.
Like, yeah, no, and then my other friend was like he managed like 10 Sirius channels, and both of them are just like both of them. One of them died recently, but both of them were always just like, dude, we're gonna get fired in 6 months.
That's everybody. Literally every person who works at Sirius who I've ever known is just that's how they are. They're just like, well, we don't know.
But I think that's like the higher, like in like just deeper, like they're like, we don't know how it's working. We don't know what's going on.
That's that is the weirdest thing about Sirius, because when you go look, Sirius is like, they have like 36 million paid subscribers or something, like something crazy. Like, I don't even know how it works. Like, I don't know if it's all just like in rental cars or some shit, but like people who work at Sirius, you're like, yeah, none of this makes sense. And it's only a matter of time before this whole thing shuts down. But then they're like, 36 million people have a monthly subscription, paid subscription to Sirius.
Well, and like, so like my like we fixed up my like a rental, like beach house rental that like my grandma used to rent out, and then we like stopped renting it out. And like my brother, I was like convinced, no, it was gonna sell like maybe 3 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, and we had like 15 weeks for sale. It's sold out in like a week. And like, you know, everyone's always like, oh, there's not enough money to go around. These people are spending $4,500 for a 1 week vacation.
Yeah. I mean, you forget, man, there's a lot of boomers who just like, they like what they like, and it's $10 a month. And I mean, like in comedy, it's this thing, because in comedy, when Sirius plays like a stand-up clip of yours, like it pays like $30 for them to play you once on Sirius. Whereas if you get played once on Spotify, yeah, it's like 30 bucks. Dude, it's crazy.
That's a grip.
Dude, I know some comedians who, I'm not even exaggerating, make 6 figures a year just off of Sirius plays. Like,
because I'd be listening to the fucking comedian channels like on road trips.
Yeah,
and like Joe List popping on there, and Mark Norman be popping on there, dude, like so often.
Every time they play one of those, they get like $30.
That's insane.
Isn't that crazy? Because if you get a Spotify play, it's like 0.0001 of a penny. And then if you get a play on Sirius, it's $30.
I've opened up so many of my dad's residual checks, and it's just like 60 cents.
Yeah.
Or like especially the movie ones, because they were like, you know, shit D-list movies. Those will be like 10 cents. Like, it's like more expensive to ship the fucking
it's the postage. Yeah, the postage is more than the check. And like printing it. Yeah, they do that shit all the time. All right, anything else there, Rafe?
You got any rockabilly conspiracies or anything in the rockabilly world?
Rockabilly? Nah, man, I'm not very versed in rockabilly.
Not super dialed into the world of rockabilly?
Yeah, not super dialed in there.
No.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one, guys.
All right, later. Rafe, everybody. All right, let's go to Slav. Let's see what Slav has to say. Slav, are you there?
Hey, what's going on? You can hear me?
Yep.
Hey, so earlier you were talking about fans using themselves and their activities as a cover for trafficking drugs. Are you familiar? Are you like a connoisseur of music formed by people of color, like hip hop and stuff?
Yeah, I know a pretty good amount. Yeah, I used to be really, really into hip hop. So
yeah, so what is it like? I grew up in Houston, but so like, you ever heard of Big Meech and DMF?
Yeah.
And do you know their whole ordeal? Like, see, I can respect how they trafficked. They were trafficking coke and pussy, but they did it independently. And
yeah.
What's the story here, Slav? Just for people who don't know. I don't know either.
Basically, he would set up these very flashy convoys of limousines and Escalades, and this is like the early 2000s. And and it was just like a whole parade, and they would pass through towns, but basically they were just loading all these limos and SUVs and trucks and cars with just bundles of coke and hella hookers.
Just to distribute
Big,
them.
fat,
I mean,
black
I
pussies.
always joke about it, but like, it used to be all these rappers talked about pimping, and they were just like, it was just this cool thing. And then the government was like, yeah, we call that sex trafficking now. That's a very serious crime. But they also should be like, yeah, we're pimps.
One, it's some real ass nigga shit, and two, all this sex trafficking stuff is, I can understand it being rooted in racism because of the John Mann Act, because of the boxer Jack Johnson. Back in the 20s, he was a black boxer. He would go from state to state, fight to fight, but he would be driven around in a Packard, which is like the Rolls Royce of the time, in a car full of white women throughout the South.
Yeah, they didn't like
showing
that.
off. Yeah, so that's how they came up with these sex trafficking laws. See, I have respect for that, and because Big Meech did that shit independently and outside of the purview.
I mean, I'm sure there's lots of that shit going on. Like, I mean, I'm sure like similar to the Jay-Z thing, a lot of people start with drug trafficking to finance their music career. The music career kind of pops off and they're like, yeah, I can still do this drug trafficking stuff. I'm like, I still have all my contacts and I can make tons of money, and it's probably even easier to do it now.
Yeah, it's like the like with YSL and Young Thug. Young Thug had members of his gang YSL were just arrested.
Oh, they all guilty. They all guilty. Like, hey, look, I'm no fan of Janet Reno, and especially what she did to the Proud White Men, especially with and the Proud Branch Davidians and Rupert Ridge and all that. But she kind of did have a point with saying, yeah, your lyrics are kind of like precluding to crimes that you guys actually commit. And if you listen to drill rap and stuff like that, like, this is getting to the point I'm trying to make. So since you are on Danny's channel, we do have to address the elephant in the room, and elephants have big noses. What is your opinion on the Jew being literally the executives of every genre of music and pushing just music of all degenerate types, like rap music?
I mean, I would counter that to say they push music that of anything that's profitable. I don't think you see a lot of Jews pushing music that's not doing well.
I think they choose what's profitable. And I'm not saying Jewish people. I'm saying I think whatever is put in front of people, they will consume, because that's essentially what people do.
You're not like a free market. See, I'm more of a free markets guy. I don't really subscribe to this thing where they go, this is what you like now, and because there's been like no shortage of examples of labels drop tons of money on some guy, be like, this is the next big thing. They put it out and they go, people hate it. And they go, that's that.
Yeah, it's
when you look at rap and hip hop, one of the earliest opponents of it was those of Motown and older black crowds. The ones who would be now, labeled like Uncle Tom's and Coon Sellouts, those kinds. Yeah, they were the first original ones. I mean, the only good hip hop song I know is the one from 1980s. Like, it was Your Mama's Hook on Crack Rock. Like, rap music that basically shamed people for being, even though it's called corny music, but yeah, but
pretty corny.
What is your, if you're delving into all this conspiracy of music, I'm sure you've heard about Faustian deals. War Mode has talked about Faustian deals, but this whole thing of pushing degeneracy, you want to break down the mold of just common, public decency, this push of Satanism. It is all very Talmudic.
Yeah, I think you're noticing some things. I don't know. I think there's a lot of overlap.
Sure.
I don't know.
I mean, there's no question. Jews definitely dominate the music industry.
Yeah, they do.
And
they do.
Film industry and the publishing industry and pretty much every industry that exists, I think.
Well, I mean, it is interesting when the film industry is brought up, because the reason why the Jew became prominent in the film industry was film in America actually began in New Jersey, because Thomas Edison was the one who was actually opened the first film houses. But he did put into rules where, like, if you want to distribute films nationwide, we're gonna have morality clauses. So it's like we can't control who watches these films, but we don't want people just walking in with their kids just seeing just the most horrendous shit. And a certain group of people, you know, with their hats and their curls and payots, they literally all ran out. Like before Los Angeles was Los Angeles, it was just nothing but an oil town. And they all came out there and literally created this whole hellhole that literally came to be a whole town of degeneracy, Hollywood, and homosexuality. They normalized showing violence on screen, and they, I mean,
wait, you don't like seeing violence on? What kind of world do you want to live in, Slav? What, you want to just fucking all silent movies? Of just...
Yeah, I like silent movies. I like to hear a piano. I like Buster Keaton. You know, let's go back to the, you know.
You don't want to see fucking shit getting blown. You don't like getting shit blown up.
What is it? Birth of a Nation. Let's go back to Birth of a Nation. You know, that kind of stuff.
I mean, we did that. It got kind of boring.
Well, boring keeps people from, you know, misbehaving and deracinating the culture.
What do you want? You want like Sharia law? You just want full on Sharia law?
No, I just want a white America back. You know.
Well, you're not getting it back. That's over. I hate to break. I told you. I said it at the beginning of the show. It's over. You can stop it now. That's the best case you're doing.
See, this is how
you're living in fantasy land, Slav.
You'll never be white, Danny.
I am. Literally, Dustin Nemo said I was white. If Dustin Nemo says I'm a white guy, I'm a white guy. I hate to break it to you. And he said you're a Jew.
Prayer, then. Say the prayer then. Say the Lord's Prayer.
Something, does it go like this? Baruch atah Adonai. Is that about right?
Yeah, but what is it? That's for the guests. Like, do you feel like there's an overwhelming influence of the Jew in all this music industry? Like, does it not seem just disgusting at a point? Because it's like this whole JP Illuminati stuff, I think it's a cover. I think it's a distraction.
We need a distraction. I mean, Jews just go where there's money to be made. It's as simple as that. I mean, if there was a real influence of the Jews, then we'd all be listening to like Hava Nagila, and those would be like the fucking bangers. Although Black Eyed Peas did make a Hava Nagila like kind of remix, didn't they? So you might be onto something here.
I just think the Jew has enough money that they don't care about the profit anymore. I think they just care about the influence.
You don't know Jews, man. If you just said that out of your mouth, man, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude.
They're trying to revive the third temple. Like, literally everyone that they're propping up, they just want them to be his bait to bring everyone to the red heifer.
No Jew knows what you're talking about. Dude, if you stopped a Jew on the street and you're like, trying to bring back the third temple and the heifer, they'd be like, what? I have some watches to sell. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Well, you keep playing it off, Danny. You're a crafty chameleon.
All right, later, Slav. Slav, everybody. I left Slav speechless, which might be a win for me. That might be rare air right there. Rare dead air, if you will. All right, let's go to Bo from Texas. Thank you again for coming on here, Izzy.
Yeah, of course.
Hello? Bo from Texas. What's up, man?
Hey, Danny.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I was weed whacking out here. All right. Hey, so I got three things. First off, go ahead and tell everyone to go ahead and hit up Congress to go ahead and get the Short Act and Hearing Protection Act through just real fast, real quick. All right.
Yes, we need those cane guns. Cane guns
Hell
for all.
yeah, suppressed.
Dude, you sent me a photo of that thing. It's badass. I mean, it really just looks like a cane. But you could blow someone's head off with it.
You can do more than that with that, but I mean, shit. Anyways, that was the first thing. Shit, I forgot the second thing, but the third thing to go ahead and ask him is, all right, how about how manufactured is country music? Everyone fucking skips over and talks about hip hop and metal and rock and whatnot and boy bands. Everyone forgets about like country music, how manufactured it is.
Oh yeah,
just like Florida Georgia line.
Yeah, it's a super good example. I think like a lot of country is weird because it's kind of like its own subsect within the music industry because it like.
Oh yeah, you got the Nashville Mafia.
Yeah, literally, like actually, like it's super serious. I've been to Nashville, right, and like they like don't fuck around. Like my dad, you know, I'm from California. My dad still plays music. He's older, but he still plays music, and like. He went out there and he played some shows, and my dad is like a literal generational talent. Like he's so good. And he started getting booked a bunch out there. We were out there for like only a week, right? And all these people were super impressed and blah, 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 blah. And like we started, like he was angering like Nashville people because he was like, so it was like, you have to do it a certain way. There's like a certain rule set. It's so fucking bizarre, dude.
That's, but I mean, I can only speak from a comedy perspective, where comedy is the same thing. Like if somebody shows up and, you know, does the same thing, everybody be like, what the hell? They're like, it's everybody because everybody thinks that arts are a meritocracy, or at least they hope it is. So then when they see it not happen that way, there's like this sense of injustice and unfairness. And then the sooner you're just like, that's not how it works. It's not what it is. You can just not get upset about it because you're like, this, I waited my turn. And you're like, it's not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's interesting because it is like, it is an industry, so it's not a meritocracy. So when someone like shakes it up via meritocracy because they're just better,
sure,
that's when
which
the
does
industry gets angry.
Yeah, which does happen.
Oliver guy. Shit, what is his name?
Oliver
He
Anthony.
did Richmond, north of Richmond.
Yeah,
he
Oliver Anthony.
blew the shit up, and everyone was like, "What the fuck?" You know?
Yeah, they're like mad at him, dude. Like I looked into Oliver Anthony because like to have a song blow up that big, usually there's something going on. Like that's very abnormal. And I looked into it, and it was like all normal. Like it was super organic.
I remember seeing it happen. It just literally, he had one fucking Instagram. Oh no, it was on YouTube. It was on that it was on this bluegrass YouTube channel, and it just popped off.
And the only connection that he really had was his manager, like knew the guy who ran that YouTube, and he knew a guy who ran an Instagram. So it's like he just had a good fucking manager and a great song. Like I think a lot of people see some of my stuff and they think that like it's demoralizing because, you know, like if you're not connected and you're not beyond exceptional, you're not going to make it. So, but like there is.
Oh man, there's so many people who are below exceptional who make it.
Yeah, yeah, but like that kind of shit does happen though. It's pretty interesting when it does. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is rare. It is to like for at least the Oliver Anthony thing, but it does happen. I mean, I feel like you maybe would know this better than me, but I feel like, you know, someone like that Benson Boone guy, where like he kind of just blew up on TikTok.
Yeah,
like, I know he was like on American Idol or something.
Yeah,
but it seems like he kind of popped off just from TikTok.
Yeah, just TikTok and marketing and it's interesting how it works now because like, you know, it's like the best time and the worst time to be a musician. It's very, very interesting. But yeah, you're asking about country. An interesting one is like Post Malone, how he like had to do.
Oh, he went country. Him, Kid Rock.
Jelly
I remember
Roll.
when I was in high school, Kid Rock went from hip hop to country, and it was so weird when he did All Summer Long, that album. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty wild, man.
I mean, country music was always huge. I feel like country music is way better than it was in the 90s. Like the country music in the 90s, I feel like was so just trite. Like they're all just, it was literally like the meme almost. They're just like talking about pickup trucks and Coors Light and stuff. And I feel like it got a little more musical recently, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's always been that market for
country. I feel like it went straight bro country within the last decade, personally. But that's just me.
In the last decade, you think it's become more broy?
Yeah,
I think it's
like
maybe a little more
Georgia
pop.
Line was
Maybe,
complete-
yeah, I've never heard. I know who they are. I've never heard anything from them though.
it's a niche genre, especially now. I don't know. I just happen to hear you all talk about music, and I'm like, no one's probably going to talk about country music. Let me go ahead and throw the.
I mean, country music is definitely
conspiracy
hitting its stride right now. There's no question. Like, I don't remember country music ever being this popular.
Well, it's because all the other genres abandon white people. Like, not to sound like Slav, but like,
yeah.
I'm just saying they abandon all white people with the BLM stuff, and then it's
I'll tell you who didn't abandon white people.
Like, hey,
let me tell you who didn't abandon white people, just in case you didn't know that. Fish, Goose, The Dead. No, you go to there, it's like a fucking Klan rally. I promise you, man.
no, I can believe that, but that's like some up northeast stuff, though.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, no, country music is popping off. But I'm sure some of them are manufactured. There's no question. I feel like someone like Zach Bryan, like I didn't even realize he got famous off of Twitter. That's like one of the craziest things I've ever heard of in my life, dude. He literally is like, he got popular posting on Twitter. I'm like, I've never heard anybody get popular posting on Twitter for music. But like that's where he says like he kind of like blew up to start. And like now he sells out like MetLife Stadium like 4 nights in a row.
Damn.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I didn't know about that. Did you hear about where everyone makes fun of Garth Brooks saying that, please just tell us where the dead body is, Garth?
Yeah, that was like the whole
Instagram?
the Tom Segura thing. Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, Bo, I gotta let you go, man.
One last thing.
Go ahead.
This early kind of sucks. I missed the later episodes. Obviously, it's your show. You're onto it. Whatever you do at the end of the day, but I enjoy it later in the day.
You like
Y'all
it later.
take care
But
now.
you're in a different time zone, right?
I'm in Central.
You're in
Central.
so that's only an
Same
hour
thing as
behind.
Midwestern time, even though I'm in Texas.
Yeah, gotcha. All right. Well, this is just an experiment. We'll see.
All right, y'all take care now. Have fun.
Y'all take care now. Later, Bo. All right, let's go to Billy from Philly here. All right, phone lines are closed, everybody. Billy from Philly.
Danielson.
What's up,
Hey,
buddy?
Anthem.
How you doing?
Hey, I wanted to just a couple of comments. One, going back to the Talmud, that Jesus was, they said Mary was raped by a Roman soldier, and the bastard child was Jesus, right? That Roman soldier's name was Pantera, and I'm wondering how
Interesting.
much
like the band
devil worship. Yeah, exactly, and with the symbolism. Slayer, Danzig, these are all like bands I used to friggin' love. I won't listen to them much anymore unless if they're on the radio because I don't want to invite like demonic hosts in or anything, and I know what the symbology means now. But what's your guest take on the occult and devil worship in that?
So yeah, I think music. The way that I view the music industry in terms of the occult and like esoteric is like back if we look back to like 6,000 years ago or whatever, the priest class of like basically Israel or whatever, the priestly class was the Levite class, and the Levites were also musicians. They were the ones who entertained via music. The way that I look at the music industry is I look at it as essentially the secular priest class, because I feel like America has this secular leaning, even though some argue we're a Christian nation, whatever. But I really do think that they're kind of this like secular priest class, and I feel like in that vein, it does lean more towards the occult, all of that kind of stuff that you're talking about, right? Like there's only so much imagery that you can point to before you have questions about its origins, right? So like what you're talking about with the Santero thing, or like if we look at Lady Gaga's imagery, if we look at some of the imagery Jay-Z had in 2013 when he was doing literal rituals with Marina Abramovich, who's an artist who does spirit cooking and these Malachian-esque ritual. There's only so much imagery before you kind of run out of excuses, right? That's kind of how I'll kind of phrase it, I guess. Because I don't think everything is overtly satanic. I do think things that are more edgy does sell more, but I do think that there are spiritual implications to that, for sure.
Yeah, I heard. I listened to like a couple part interview of a guy. I forget his name, but he worked at Capitol Records in the 70s. I think this interview was like in the 70s or 80s. He talked about he was in the Illuminati, and in the building where they would have the master copy before they pressed the albums, they would do a seance around it. And so when they pressed the copies out and all, like Ozzy Osbourne got distributed, now you have like satanic printed ideas into that you're putting into kids' homes. And that was like the big push with during the 80s. I remember going to school and they were doing the Procter & Gamble. They had like all the stars on the symbol, and they would drop 666 and the moon was this. And like it was after school thing that they brought us about devil worship and playing the music backwards and all this kind of different stuff. So I was always intrigued by it. Like, oh, what's that mean?
See, I could see as well. I was just saying, like, when you're saying that they were kind of saying in the, when you were in school, they were like, watch out for the devil. And they were kind of priming you that you need to be worried about the devil. I could see that if you're a young musician, you're like, yeah, I want my shit all be about the devil to fucking fuck with all these people who are saying this. Like,
yeah, it's the pushback. I get, is that part of the brainwashing, the reverse psychology type thing to push you toward it or pull you away from it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I kind of just like, I don't know. I don't know if that's my simple mind, but I see that and I go, yeah, that seems like probably what they were doing there. I don't know, Izzy, if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I just think that there's like a lot. I think honestly, it's like a case by case kind of thing. Cause I definitely like, I think that there's stuff that is like, I'll listen to some music and it's like overt and I feel a certain way about it, or I'm like, this is bad. I don't know, and then I think that there's stuff that's like silly, like Guar. There's shit that's like overt and over the top. Same, it's kind of hard because good art is sort of like, morally ambiguous, right? Like if everything is super, I don't know, like good and light, it kind of gets boring, right? So you need some moral ambiguity in there. But, I don't know. I'm personally somebody who I think that everything is a lot more spiritual than we think it is. And so I'm kind of more sensitive to that stuff, and some people aren't, and I also think that it's one of those things where it's like, if you think it's more spiritual than I think it probably is, right? It's kind of like the people who have paranormal happenings are the people who believe in paranormal happenings, right? So I think there's a lot, definitely a lot to it. It's a really complex thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Anything else there, Billy?
No, that's it, man. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it. God bless. Have a good night.
I will go on later, man. Billy from Philly, everybody. All right, we're gonna take some more calls, and then we're gonna wrap this bad boy up. Let's go to Brent. Johan asks, "Do you still think Shane Gillis is a Fed?"
That's so funny. I don't know if I ever really seriously thought he was a Fed. I definitely think it's a silly, funny idea. I think that I thought it was interesting when War Mode started saying he was.
Yeah, it was Billy who started saying it.
Yeah, that's when I was like, oh, there might be something to this, because I've been jokingly saying that for like years. But then when I saw that, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm fucking onto something here. So,
Brent, are you there? Brent.
Hey.
What's up, man? You're on Low Value, man.
What's up, brother? Hey, I got a story. I'm up in Clemson in South Carolina, but my church used to go down to Folly Beach and rent a big house, probably like 30 kids. And the lady that they hired to do the music, she got us out on the beach, me and a couple guys. We were the straight edge skateboarders, and She said she was one of the singers in Leonard Skinner.
Really?
And yeah, and actually she had a dream the night before that plane went down, and she wouldn't go.
Really? Why didn't she
Yeah,
go?
no shit. She had a dream that the plane was going down.
Oh, she had a dream, and she just like was like, I'm not going. Damn.
Yeah, and
crazy.
Apparently it was a rickety kind of operation. She said for real, she said that they would carry their cocaine in a 5-gallon bucket.
Jesus Christ.
Damn.
Right?
That's a lot of cocaine.
And dude, I was 12th grade or whatever. I believed her. She was not a bullshitter. She had turned, she was born again after she had that dream, and they all died.
That'll do it. That'll definitely do it.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, I guess people have premonitions like that, but I don't know what to make of it.
For real?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh yeah. No, I believe in shared consciousness. It's real.
Did she tell them? Was she like, hey, I had a dream this plane's going down?
No, she tried to get them not to go.
Yeah. And they probably just laughed at her.
Well, they were a party band, dude. That was a family. That was a big crew.
Right. Man, too bad nobody ever did that with Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Wow.
Could have stopped him from his helicopter crashing. All right, Brent. Thanks, buddy. Brent, everybody. All right, let's take a few more calls, and then we're going to wrap this up. Thank you very much for joining me on this all-new time. It might not be all new. We'll see. We got Daniel on the phone. Daniel, are you there?
Yes, sir.
What's happening?
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Oh, fuck. I hope there's not a delay.
No.
How are we doing tonight?
Very good.
I've got a few questions dating back to the acid in the Grateful Dead earlier in the conversation.
Yeah.
So was that manufactured by Owsley Stanley? Is that right?
It sounds familiar. I'm not sure
There was like this. I thought like all that acid back in the day was like
Yeah, that's
this
Bear.
one. Yeah, it was like this one.
Yeah,
guy, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so Bear was the sound engineer. All right, well, I was going to ask, just going to ask about the wall of sound. Anyway, yeah, so allegedly this guy made all the acid, and he also made all music. Bear, damn, I was hoping you'd do more about him. Go ahead.
You said about the wall of sound?
Well, he was the one that allegedly invented the wall of sound.
Yeah, he did. He invented it. I'm doing like a thing on it. I have to start my research on it, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like he was all into that shit. I don't know.
I know they basically like the Dead. It cost so much money to make it that they would like not make any money on their shows just so they could have this crazy speaker setup. Like it was like so expensive.
Oh wow, yeah, that makes sense. There's like over 100 tracks. But all right, so just in terms of that, like Robert Hunter's dad, Robert Hunter, you guys know Robert Hunter.
Yeah, songwriter for all the
songwriter. Yeah. His dad was like one of the founders of MKUltra.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, those kind of would go and feed.
Wow, that's super interesting. I actually didn't know that one. That's wild, man.
Yeah. If you just go on like CIA.gov and go ahead and give that use the search bar. Don't read all the very, very tiny words. Oh yeah. So anyways, but what I called in for was Danny, you were saying like Fish and the Dead and everybody weren't abandoning white people. I'm not about to speak the whole. I get the theme. So it's not necessarily the whites, but I'm like, don't you think they were a little ostracizing, like during COVID?
All those, like you're saying, like Fish and all those bands, the jam bands.
Yeah, they were really. Trey was like putting out some weird ass cringe shit.
I don't remember
and then the
what
crowd,
Trey was
like on the floor, was sort of.
Yeah, I don't exactly remember what Trey was saying, but I could see them. Yeah, I definitely would get that vibe. It is funny now, post COVID. where like you see way more like that scene kind of, I don't want to say split up, but like all these people kind of became these like weird like crypto Republicans essentially over the COVID thing. Because COVID
I
caused
wish I was more in touch with those people.
Dude, COVID caused so many hippies to become Republicans, essentially because they were like,
all right, so I guess I'm not alone at least.
no, because dude, there were so many people who were like JP Sears. He's like a comedian. He's like,
yeah, like the yogi that like became right.
Yeah, because there were there's this whole group of people who are like, people who are into jam bands and stuff who are essentially like, I care what I put in my body. Like, I'm very conscious of what I put in my body. I'm like a health nut.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, you have to take this vaccine. And they're just like, fuck no, I'm not taking this vaccine. And then everyone's like,
yeah, that's an interesting dividing line. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was. And then like, if you look at JP Sears now, he's like a full blown MAGA guy. 4 years ago, or maybe 5 years ago, he would literally like be making these videos about like making fun of raw food people. He'd be like, here's like a raw food pizza. And it would just be like a plate of cucumbers. And
I know.
Like,
now
it was like the most
two more mandates for being the liver king.
Yeah, dude, he was like the most hippie liberal guy you could
Yeah.
find.
He rocked
And now
it.
he is like full blown MAGA. Like it's the craziest switch. And it was all because of one thing, and it was COVID.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more of them,
Yeah.
for sure. Like, I mean, anybody who's like probably
Yeah,
not anybody who's a fan of his now, but there were a lot of people who probably like went along with that. But yeah, there has been this like kind of divide. But yeah, I mean, a lot of those bands too at the time, they were like, that's just like the thing everybody's doing for music. They're like all the venues are requiring it. There's a lot of like cities and states that are requiring this stuff, and they're like, they're not going to be the people like Fish is not going to be like, we're going to rock the boat and be like, fuck this mask mandate. Like, they just go along. with
Well,
it.
yeah, no band is actually probably going to do that if they're being, they're like, hey, you're going to lose your entire crowd if you say anything about.
Yeah, exactly. You'll lose a chunk of your crowd.
Beating a dead horse.
Yeah, exactly. They just didn't know what to do. Really.
Yeah. Well, so I guess we'll tie that all together between like, I don't know if the intervention of, maybe Robert Hunter, CIA, the acid Tesla, everything, and like the dumbing down of America, where you go, you look at like the lyrics of Stairway to Heaven, and then you look at like, I don't know, Cardi B nowadays, and you go, well, what's really hitting and why?
Yeah, there is some weird chicken and the egg thing where they're like, are they forcing Cardi B and we're liking it, or are we like kind of like, denigrating enough as a society where they're like, this is what's good now?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I have like this weird thing when it comes to like what they push in general, where it's like, I believe that people are dumb enough that they'll just like anything, but then you have these weird cases of people like, I don't know, like Brendan Schaub, and like how his like special, like his first special, like didn't do well. You know what I mean? And so like there's people who have all of the resources in the world to be successful, and people still are picky about what they like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, even
I don't know.
most of the views on his specials are hate views. Like, you look at the comments for Schaub, and they're all just like people just shitting on him. So it's like,
Was
even
that
those
purposeful
views-
though? Like, is it like?
No, I
are
mean,
they like
Schaub,
just responding
was
to
just like,
how they're fed?
no, I mean, Schaub specifically was like, he's friends with Rogan. He goes on Rogan all the time.
Right.
So, if you
Yeah.
do that, like you can go start
Probably
selling,
clever, yeah.
you can start selling some tickets on the road as a comedian, but he's like, wasn't a comedian, and he was just figuring it out. And that thing is generally pretty hard to do. Like, it's just a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I guess
So-
my question is like, was he intentionally put there for naysayers to have some traction?
No.
Yeah, I don't
you-
think so.
You never had like a buddy who,
Right, I mean-
it's like if you want to help, you just like if you can help out your friend, you do, and then it's just in the context of it's like in the comedy world. But eventually, people are going to be like,
Maybe I just
okay,
saw a lot of people like hating on him on my end of Instagram or whatever.
oh, I
I
mean,
wasn't
he's one of
sad
those
at that
guys where
time,
people
like,
just
any good
love.
things about him.
People just love to hate him.
Which
But
he's
look,
I like him,
he's,
but
he's still
wasn't
as
received well.
shit as bad as you think he might be, or whatever. Like if he goes and does like a Funny Bone in Omaha, like it sells out, and those people are happy to be there. Like the people who buy tickets, they're like, "Yeah, I'm going to see Brendan Schaub. I'm pumped about this." But it's like when you hit the internet, it's like you're reaching so many more people. It just becomes a different thing.
Yeah, right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Yeah.
Well, yeah, the internet in general is funny too because like it's such a bad diagnosis. It's like you're saying, like there are people on the internet who will like talk crazy as hell in like comment sections, and then
Yeah, and they're all watching the show.
Yeah, and then I'll be at an event and like nobody will say anything. It's very interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a kind of normal human thing where people are like, yeah, I'm at home. I can talk all the shit I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Dan, I gotta let you go, man. Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
All right, 2 more calls. We're officially into overtime, but let's do it. I feel bad. I should just tell these people scram, but they've been waiting patiently, so I'm going to get to them. And we're not an actual radio show, so we don't have another show coming on after this. And I'm sure some of you are itching to go watch the new Hot Kill Tony. Hello, Fairfax.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, man?
Hey, I missed the beginning of the show. Who is your guest right now?
His name's Izzy.
Say that again.
Izzy?
Izzy?
Yeah.
I like him. He kind of sounds like a spiritual dude.
He is. He is a spiritual
appreciate
dude.
it.
I can say.
Thank you. Thank you. I wasn't sure what was if you were going to say you hated me or not. So thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Do you have any questions, comments?
So I got both a political question and a spiritual question for you. I don't know how much time you got. If you
Go
want
ahead.
one or
We
the
have
other.
all the time in the world.
Oh, beautiful. All right. So I was watching some other podcasts right now, or not right now, a couple days ago, that will remain unnamed. And they kind of brought up the point that back in the day, if you needed guidance, you would pray about it. And nowadays, if you need guidance, you will Google it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of have and they brought this up as well. So if you're just Googling everything and pouring your spirit into Google, does that make Google good or bad? Ultimately, what I'm getting at is AI good or bad? Generative AI.
I mean, if you're pouring yourself and I guess asking Google these questions and it's giving you unbiased answers and giving you both sides of, both potentials, I guess it would be good. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not saying but I'm just saying in a perfect world, like if it was just to be like, here's my question, here's here's different sides of this answer, I guess it would be good. Obviously, if you don't get that, then it's not necessarily good.
Sure.
Yeah. Is he thoughts on that?
Okay.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think AI is interesting because I've tried to use it for what I do, and I catch it lying to me all the fucking time about these people. Like the perfect example is the Henry Rollins thing. Like Henry Rollins claims his last name's Rollins. I did a ton of research, found out it's not. And ChatGPT will lie to me until I call it out. And I'm like, oh, actually I looked into it and found this. And then it will go, oh yeah, you're right. And it's like, I don't think I don't think things are implicitly bad or good. I think your intentionality has everything to do with what it is, right? Because it's like, I'm Christian, right? I'm a Christian. I was born and raised Catholic, blah, 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 whatever, right? When I have something that I'm trying to find the answers to, I do pray, but I also Google things because there is a practicality to life in general, right? So, if I'm trying to, there are some things that don't require a prayer, and there are some things that, do require prayer. And I just think that there are people who don't have the spiritual wherewithal or knowledge to understand that in a proper way, right? Like, I think to say AI is bad, right, especially as someone who uses it, who gets very bad results from it, I think that is probably not the most honest and good answer. You know what I mean? So,
and it's still pretty early in this. Like AI is still relatively, this stuff is pretty new. Like it'll get better the more kind of mistakes it makes, I would think.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think,
and it's like you're using it. Yeah. I was just gonna say you're using it to you're like, hey, can you answer this thing in 30 seconds that I'd otherwise have to spend 3 hours researching? So
What about people that might be like asking for like relationship advice or stuff like that? You know, like they're not looking at their immediate situation. They're looking for an overt answer.
I mean, honestly, it's like if what's the alternative? It's like talking to a therapist or a friend or something. It's like it's probably for the stuff that's not factual, that's just opinion based. You're probably gonna get just as good of an answer, to be honest. Yeah, like from my dicking around with like AI, like that kind of stuff, where you go, you're not asking it something where there's like, is Henry Rollins actually his name? Where you go, this is just what's your opinion? It's like you're actually probably it's better for that because it just gives you an opinion. Obviously, you can listen to it or not, but
I don't believe it. I will not bow to the AI.
Well, we're all going to be slaves to AI soon. So, yeah, go ahead.
Hell no. So you live in NYC, right, Danny?
I do.
How do you feel about this? Your new socialist mayor?
Well, he's not the mayor yet, and I am somewhat hopeful that he will not become the mayor because Eric Adams still has a chance, and only 400,000 people voted for this guy. Honestly,
so is it Democrat versus Democrat out there?
Well, no, it's just no. There's a Republican candidate, this guy Curtis Sliwa. He ran for the first time like in 2021. He's going to lose. He's like this crazy dude in a beret. They don't have great candidates, but basically whoever is the Democrat nominee wins, but then Eric Adams, who's the current Democratic mayor, is going to run as an independent. Besides the defunding the police thing, which I don't think is a great idea, I'm really not affected by many of this guy's policies, to be honest. Now, I could be like in second, third order effects, like if, you know, all these rich people leave and the economy suffers in New York City, certainly I can be affected by it. But like he wants to raise taxes on people who make over $1 million. Like all these things he's proposing, like they don't affect
neighborhood is what he said, right?
I live in an Asian neighborhood, so again, unaffected. No, I mean he did say that white neighborhood thing, which is crazy that's not like disqualifying after, you know, the last 10 years or so, but he's connecting with people because the city is so unaffordable and so many people just, you know, have like, not only do they not have any money, they have tons of debt. So they're like, yeah, definitely let's fucking spread this money around. But like when he says shit like there should be no billionaires, like that is just patently an idiotic thing to say. You're like, the guy probably uses Amazon all the time. You're like, well, if there would be no billionaires, you would have no Amazon. You'd have no all sorts of things.
All right. So based on what you're saying, if he wins, are you going to get the fuck out of there? Or
hell no, I'm not. I mean, I wouldn't just be like immediately packing up, but I'm sure there are people who have like crazy net worths who like are like, yeah, I am leaving. And that'll certainly have some effect on the city.
Big effect on the economy, probably.
Yeah, that'll have an effect on the economy for sure. It's like a $2 trillion economy or something. Like it'll definitely.
I feel like business owners in New York they're not like fucking small mom and pop shops all over the place.
There's tons of small mom and pops in New York City, like tons. Like those people will not be affected. But again, it's like rent controls. Like the shit generally doesn't work. Like it probably won't work. I don't think it's gonna, a lot of the stuff he says is gonna work, but I don't know. Sometimes it takes having some dude with these dog shit ideas come in just so people be like, yeah, this doesn't work. And then
how long is a mayor's term in New York?
I think it's 4 years. It's 4 years, yeah.
Not a long time.
Yeah. I mean, look, de Blasio was not a good mayor. The city was fine. All
right, one more thing for you, Danny.
I'm not a doomer on this one.
Are you? I actually didn't know you were Jewish. You're Jewish?
I am, yeah. Shapeshifter.
Yeah. I thought you were. I thought you were Eastern European.
I'm that too. Well, I'm not. I'm personally not Eastern European. I'm Canadian, but my parents are from Eastern Europe. Dude, I'm as white as can be. My grandmother's from the base of the Caucasus Mountains. Couldn't get whiter than me.
The base of the what?
The Caucasus Mountains.
So
it's where the term Caucasian comes from.
How do you feel about how Trump handled the? I mean, I don't know if you're a big supporter of Israel, How do you feel about
I'm
how
not.
Trump support handled the conflict with Iran recently?
I mean, so far so good. I mean, we'll
So far,
see.
so good.
We'll see if there's long-term consequences of it. But so far, I mean, I saw that the Ayatollah issued a fatwa on Donald Trump, but that guy talks so much shit where I'm not too concerned about him. But basically, just like they want to kill him. But I mean, so far
Donald
so
Trump?
good. Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you if you were him?
Who said this? The leader of Iran?
The,
or like
the
one
leader
the
of
religious-
the leader of the regime, Ayatollah Khomeini.
Khamenei?
Khomeini.
I love
No,
Khamenei.
that was my last guest told me that was the last one. This is the first one. Anyways, gotta let you go, man. We gotta wrap this up. Thank you for calling.
I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Oh, did the stream just die? What happened here? Did the show just end? No. Okay. I got some weird thing where it was okay. We had some back. All right, that has been the show. Izzy, thank you very much for joining me. Where can people find you?
Yeah, at Izzy N Griffin on Instagram. My YouTube has all my stuff, but I'm like insanely fucking shadow banned, like insanely for
sucks.
whatever reason. I don't even talk about anything crazy, but it's
Yeah.
at Izzy N Griffin on YouTube as well.
Go throw them a subscribe and a like.
Yeah, please. And then I do have a Patreon which has all of my stuff. Like, I got a ton of shit going on. But yeah, just Izzy N Griffin pretty much anywhere. I got a new song coming out tomorrow. I still do music and a lot of cool shit on the way. So thank you for
Cool.
having me, dude. This was really fun, man.
My
Seriously,
pleasure, man.
This is cool.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it, man. Really fun. Izzy Griffin, everybody. Thanks, dude.
Peace.
Later. All right, everybody. Izzy Griffin. That has been the show. I'm going to give away a couple patreon.com low value mail memberships. Hold on a second while I pull this up. Thank you for waiting patiently, everybody. Where do I find this? I can never find it. If you want to support the show, you can do so. Patreon.com/low value mail. MAIL. Or don't. Just you're probably better off telling a friend than supporting the show. If you like the show, you want me to keep doing it, you can do it. If not, don't. I don't really care anymore. All right. We're going to give away 2 Patreon.com memberships because I forgot to give one away on the last episode, as pointed out by somebody. Also, I'm missing a chat. Dylan Farms says, I knew family members from Jacksonville of Leonard Skinner. Cool. And Dylan also says, AI is a reflection of us, liars and ultimately bad. I think there'll be some good things with AI. In the meantime, let's give away some memberships. Spin the wheel. First winner is Bobo Makua. I think I just gave him a membership. Hit me up. I can extend your 6-month, or I can give it away to somebody else. That is also an option. It's up to you. Some people choose to keep it. Some people choose to pass it on. I'll give it to a free Patreon member. And the last winner is Johan. Don't mess with the Johan, everybody. Do not mess with the Johan. Hit me up. Just get a hold of me. I will get you your Patreon membership. If you didn't win one, you can sign up. You can support the show here. You can tell a friend. You can like the stream. You can do whatever you want. That has been the show, everybody. I hope you liked the new time. It might not be the time in the future. I don't know. But I do like not going home at fucking 12:30 or 1 in the morning. So we'll see. Anyways, good night, everybody. Thank you again for joining in. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to our producer, Mark. Have a lovely evening. Goodbye.
Really a poet, you know it, all my shit heroic. Empathic abilities, yeah, my face be also stoic. Fleet blow up, nigga, that just means I'm working. They see me as a leader, so that's why I'm Captain Kirkin. These tracks from the stars, that much is for certain. You can feel this hit if you up or if you hurting. I'm raising my stock, not talking my feet in some Birkin. Number Johnny 5, got a fucking short circuit. Bring the track to life when I spit phenomenal. When I hit, she feel that shit in her abdominals. These rappers make me laugh like comic view, they comical. You know I got a ball out, I hit the track running just like Sonic do. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, and they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, now we pulling up fresh on some flight shit. Ha. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, then they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, now we pulling up fresh bitch on some slight shit. Ha.